demonized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Welcome, Fanfare family, and trolls, which I know will be here as well. They love to tune in and spew their stuff, but we don't care. We try to bring them aboard, open their minds, but it's very hard for them to do so. So today is Saturday. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend or start to your weekend. Hope you had a great day. Robert and I hung out by the pool. We're going to go see Mission Impossible tonight. So it's just a fun, relaxing day. I saw this comment right here. It says, okay, let's go. I thought it'd be at least play some golf. I hope you're eating well, Barry. Somebody's like, hey, Barry, why are you putting this up? It's almost dinner time now, man. We got work to do. And yes, thank you for asking. We are indeed eating well. We're going to be eating better because of President Trump. But before we begin, let me go ahead and get this in here. And see, I talk a lot about being proactive. I talk a lot about eating well, starting to lose some weight myself, get this figure back to its old days. And I also talk to you about, whether or not it's your finances, your career, or your health. When it comes to your health, one of the smartest moves you can make, especially as we get older, is protecting your heart, your brain, and for me, especially my joints from playing football and sitting in a chair for 6 hours at a time sometimes. That's why I've added Native Path krill oil to my daily routine. Now you might be wondering, what's the difference between krill oil and other omega-3s like fish oil? Well, krill oil is not regular fish oil. Krill oil is sourced from pristine Antarctic waters, away from heavy metals and toxins you want to avoid, like Democrats. It's packed with powerful omega-3s in phospholate form, which means your body actually absorbs these omega-3s up to 2 times more efficiently than typical fish oil. But here's the kicker. Krill oil also contains one of nature's strongest antioxidants to help you get rid of and fight free radical damage, support brain clarity, and promote healthy aging. Yes, it's happening. We are all aging. We got to do something about it if we plan on being here for some time. It's been shown to be significantly more potent than many other antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E. In fact, research has shown that krill oil, with its powerful omegas and powerful antioxidants, can help you in a number of ways. It helps your joints, as it may reduce inflammation and improve joint pain. It may improve your heart function by improving blood flow, winkety wink, and reducing oxidative stress. It may help your memory and cognitive performance. And krill oil may improve visual fatigue. You know, I sit here, you guys know I'm looking at lights and cameras and monitors for 5, 6, 7, or 8 hours a day, depending on how many shows. So visual fatigue is very important to me. And it can protect against age-related macular degeneration. It also may help protect against UV damage here in the summer and reduce signs of aging like wrinkles. And it may also help you with liver health, exercise, performance, and metabolic health. The science is clear. So if you want to support your heart, your joints, your brain, and do it with a clean, highly absorbable source, go to getkrill.com/Barry and grab your krill oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. That site again is getkrill.com/Barry. All right, so I got a whole lot of stuff to share with you today. I mean, a whole bunch. So I'm hoping that we won't be here a whole long time. It won't be like yesterday, 5 hours. But got a lot of ground to cover here. And I've got 2 interviews. I mentioned for a while now I've got this interview with Congressman Timmons from South Carolina that I wasn't exactly happy with, and you guys might have some side eye as well. And then I've got a wonderful interview with Sheriff Chad Bianco from Riverside, California. And then I'm going to talk to you about Alligator Alcatraz. A lot going on down here with Alligator Alcatraz. But first, I just want to recap the week that was. The fantastic week that President Trump has had. And so I'm going to go to looks like the BBC had the best rundown that I found in terms of being able to talk about what President Trump just did. So let's look at this article real quick. Trump is on a high note after tremendous wins at home and abroad. And they talk about Trump's week, but they highlight 4 things which are real big wins. An unbelievable strike and a ceasefire. The strike obviously blowing up Iran, much to the chagrin of the nuts on the left. It happened, and then the ceasefire, cross fingers and pray, is still holding as of today. NATO's commitment to daddy, which blew their minds that the NATO general actually called Trump daddy. And then they all upped their amount of money, their ante, how much they're going to put in. Big money, up from 2.5% to 5%. And that's a lot of money. Then, of course, they call it a giant win at the Supreme Court. That's they printed it wrong. It should have said giant wins at the Supreme Court. Obviously, the district court judges can't do what they've been doing. And that's gone. Birthright citizenship, that might be gone. LGBTQ indoctrination, that might be gone. It was a monumental day at the Supreme Court as President Trump followed up with his press conference yesterday. And then to round it off, a peace deal in Africa between Rwanda and the Congo. I've been around, I've seen a lot of presidents. I don't think I've seen a week in a presidency so strong as what we saw this week. It was just one thing after the other. I mean, it was so stupendous. Yesterday I did a 5-hour broadcast. The day before that, I did 4 shows. There was so much going on. And then you look down at the calendar and say, it's still June. It's still June. The Democrats aren't even able to take a breath. They talk about fighting back and recovering, and they have to wonder, what are you going to fight back from? There's so many different things to fight. That's why they're all losing their minds all across X and everywhere else right now, calling us crazy, calling us all kinds of names. But nonetheless, here we are. And so, yes, we indeed should be doing the Trump victory dance as much as possible right now. I've never been, even during my sporting days, a big gloater, but I'm not ashamed of promoting and advocating and applauding wins. That's why you play the game. This is why he does what he does. That's why we do what we do. So we should bask in this. I'm not ashamed whatsoever. I am happy. I am proud to be MAGA. And I'm sure that's how you're feeling right now. Right now.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
And you know, one of the things that's showing up that I think the normies out there, not the crazies on the far left, the normies. I think what normies are seeing, especially today and yesterday, is that why are the Democrats always rooting against America? It doesn't have, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to look at this and go, you guys really don't like America. You don't like anything we stand for. None of it. Everything is so bad, but yet you stay here. You stay in the greatest country of the world because it's the greatest country in the world. Otherwise, move. The people you're trying to save don't even want to go home. Think about that for a second. You hate America so much for giving you the right to hate the country so much. You fight tooth and nail in every single court that you possibly can go to. In fact, going to the Supreme Court, you protest openly on the streets, you burn stuff without ever acknowledging the reason you can do all of those things is because, checks notes, you're in America. Which I've never understood that ideology. Hey, I'm going to burn the flag. Well, you know why you can burn that flag? Why? Because you're in America. You know, I can hate Trump and post videos about how I hate Trump, and I can even advocate for him being unalived again. You know why you can do that? Because you're in America. I can run down the street carrying other countries' flags and say death to America and free Palestine and everybody else, and I can burn stuff. Do you know why? Because you're in America. I can marry somebody of my own team, and I can do all this proudly for an entire month, for 200 days out of the year for different events and stuff, and I complain, but I have to understand the only reason I can be this way is because, checks notes, I'm in America. Interesting. I can openly advocate for removing babies because I'm in America. What else can I do? I can utilize the court system to try and fight the administration because I'm in America. But yet, you're advocating to change the very country that allows you to be the insane self that you are. How many of these people can look themselves in a mirror and go, oh, thanks, America. That's right. I couldn't lay down with another man and be happy walking down the street if it weren't for America. How many people actually have the mindset to understand you can't do that in other countries? The countries that these people have escaped from, that you're trying to turn it around to, can't do it. You're carrying flags about Gaza and Hamas and everything else, and yet the very people that you support will throw you off a building. But America's bad. You can try and talk so bad about the president and realize, go someplace else and do that. See what happens. See what happens. I just prefer you people go into some sort of camp and indoctrinate yourselves and go, wow, we got it really good here. Because despite all your bitching and all your whining and all your protesting, you're doing it with $1,000 cell phones. You're able to walk into Kinko's or something printing press store and print out these signs and have somebody pay for it. Likely you or me, but somebody's paying for these nice signs. You leave the protest completely filthy. You just cast aside whatever you don't need and you just leave because somebody else is not going to force you to clean it up. You expect America to clean it up. And then you go home to wherever home may be, and you sit in a place where there's air conditioning most likely, and you got your cell phone, and you got your iPad or your computer, and you go to your Starbucks, and you can pretty much go wherever you want at any time you want. Nobody's there saying, hey, you can't go here. You're walking down the street wearing whatever, and nobody's stopping you. But yet you tell everybody that America sucks. How can that be? Why don't you just say thank you? That's why nobody is believing your crap anymore. And it's funny that President Trump just posted that. This was at 9 o'clock this morning. Why are the Democrats always rooting against America when they need America? Doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Let's try to transform America into what? The hellholes that you escape from? Where you're not going to be allowed to do the things that you want to do? Hey, New York, knock on wood. The guy running for mayor who got the most votes in the Democratic primary is going to change your life for the worst. I was just talking to Robin. I was laying out there just chilling. And I go, Robin, the stuff people say about white people, if the stuff people said, whiteys are doing this, if you just change that word and said a certain word that begins in M and ends with fuzzies, just change that word. If you said black people are doing this, Spanish people are doing it, they would try to hang you. You would be vilified. But yet there's a guy running for mayor who says that he wants to raise taxes on rich people and, wait for it, what did it say? White people. I didn't know having a certain color qualified you for a higher tax rate. But he had no problem saying it. Rich people and white people need to pay more. Seriously? I had somebody today that commented on something. It was an unrelated thread, but he commented on it, and he's like, after everything that's happened in New York, he goes, only the wealthy can move out of New York City. And I thought to myself, who has put this in your mind that only the wealthy can relocate? So you may not be able to afford to relocate to Palm Beach County. You may not be wealthy enough or have enough money to relocate to Miami Beach because you want to duplicate the lifestyle you're living up there. But I'm pretty sure you could relocate to Ocala. I'm pretty sure you could afford to relocate to Oviedo. I'm pretty sure you could afford to, Port Orange. There are so many places. But people have become used to looking at something and going, I can't have that, instead of focusing on what you can have. Work on what you need to do to get to a different place. If you don't want the taxation and craziness of New York City, I'm sure there's some places in Idaho that you can definitely afford. I don't think people understand that there are places across the country with jobs that you can afford that aren't New York City. But it's going to take a mindset change for people to do it. And it's going to happen because we're going to see this divide occur very quickly. Oh, we can't do this in a red state? Well, we need to go ahead and run to a blue state. And wherever you are, if you live in a blue state, you're probably going to get inundated. And so as that divide widens and more people, even people from here who don't like what we do, and they may end up in your state because they're like, hey, I just hate Florida. I hate Ron DeSantis. It's insane. It's just like Trump. Yeah, it's just like Trump. Yep, it is. And so if you're there and you need to get here or to Tennessee or to Texas, you need to start making plans and stop being self-limited by saying, I can't afford any place. No, rephrase that. I may not be able to afford the place I want to go, but there's many places you can go to that you may need. Pretty sure there was an English band in the 60s that wrote a song about that. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might just find you get what you need. It's America, baby. Only you hold the key to where you want to go. So let's look at some of these crazy things that happened.
Professor, I want to begin by sharing a graphic. A lot of people are going to wonder about this reasoning behind this debate. And frankly, it all has to do with nationwide injunctions. I mean, if you just think about 3 per term under the Bush years, Obama, not that many. But look at what they've been attempting to do. This is lawfare on full display.
Well, that's why this is such an enormous victory for the Trump administration. Basically, the president's had to drag about 700 district court judges down this road, and it has slowed the progress of the policies that he wants to pursue. Now, you can disagree with those policies, but he was elected to carry out those policies. And what he said yesterday is true, that he's not the first president who's objected to this. Democratic presidents have objected to national injunctions as well. And the problem is that when these individual judges freeze an entire program or policy for the nation, it can take 2 years before you get that lifted or reversed. By then, you're in the second half of your term, and it's very hard to achieve many results.
Jonathan Turley, what an incredible day at the Supreme Court. Let's have you break it down. And also, I think people are very curious how this does impact things like sanctuary city funding, birthright citizenship, and other issues at play.
Well, thank you, Kellyanne. I think that the first thing the president should do is go buy a lottery ticket because he's having a heck of a week. And if I was going to get a lottery ticket, it'd probably be today. But this is a huge win for him. It does negate what has been a stumbling block. These judges have been throwing sand in the works in many of his policies, from immigration to birthright citizenship to DOGE cuts. That will presumably now be tamped down. If these judges try to circumvent that, I think they'll find an even more expedited path to a Supreme Court that's going to continue to reverse some of these, lift some of these injunctions.
That was huge. That was huge because already I read a lawsuit this morning, and the lawsuit is to fight the birthright citizenship. And so they ran to court today to try and file a class action lawsuit. Class action lawsuit is when you have a whole bunch of people who are harmed by something, and a whole class of people need to sue. But there's one problem in this lawsuit. Because they want to go against President Trump's birthright decision that he wants to use, his executive order said all people born after February 20th, 2025. Their lawsuit says it's for everybody who was born after February 2025 and any time thereafter. I swear, they actually put that in their lawsuit. And everybody's looking at it and goes, so you're filing a class action suit for people who haven't even been born yet. That's how desperate they are. Let that sink in. They filed a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit. They've got all these people who are going to be harmed who haven't been born yet. Make that one make sense. That's how desperate they are. That is completely desperate. And they actually filed it today. They're doing everything they possibly can. You've heard it over and over. We're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. There's one comment here from Jim, and he's like, united we stand, divided we fall, Barry. We have to find a way to be united. See, that's one of the problems I'm having right now with a lot of people who have to be, there's a pill that you're going to have to swallow. Just like it was with Israel and Iran, just with Iran and us. These people don't want you around. And I'm talking about these people, I'm talking about the libnuts. There is no uniting with them. As soon as people can realize that's not going to happen, the faster people realize, make your arrangements, do what you need to do. We're way too far beyond getting united as a country. It's not going to happen. Their ideology and what they want will never unite, will never mesh with what you want. It is impossible. We didn't make it that way. They did. You can ask them straight up. You want to figure out how impossible it is? Ask them 3 questions. 1. Maybe this should be, 1. You believe in Jesus Christ? Oh, no, okay. Well, okay, that was an easy one. Number 2. Can a man become a woman and vice versa? Oh, no. Oh, sorry. I don't think you even need a number 3. See, right there, you're going to have the foundation that will show you there will never be a uniting again in this country. There may be some people who come over. There may be a few that say, you're right, I need to come this way. But if they've indoctrinated these people so much, where those 2 basic things, you believe in Jesus Christ and can a man become a woman and vice versa. And then watch their heads like spin, because those are also 2 questions that strike to their core and they don't know why they can't answer it. So let's pull religion out of it. Let's say, hey, Barry, we should make decisions based upon religion and faith. Okay. Tell Iran that. Tell Hamas, tell Israel. But let me humor you. Let me take religion out of it. So now this next question, the number 1 question is, can a man become a woman and a woman become a man? And let them answer that. Number 2, can a man have a baby? and you'll literally watch them completely contort themselves. And if you want to have fun, just say, I understand you're for higher taxation. Yeah. Can you define fair share? How much is enough? When am I done? When I pay a certain amount, can you tell me that you people will never come back and say, I want some more? What's my fair share? And then, of course, you could go further if you want. If you want to play this game, hey, do you believe I should have the right to bear arms? See, there is a number of questions, Jim, that you can ask somebody on the left, and as you get the answers, you will find out very quickly it ain't ever going to happen. I didn't make it this way. You didn't make it this way. Unfortunately, this is where it is. The brainwashing, the hating of the country, the hating of you, the hating of me. We didn't do this. We're just sitting here and watching the circus go on. It came into town, it stays in the town, it does everything, and we just happen to be spectators. And we're forced to watch it. So if you've never had the opportunity to try and unite, go ahead. Go to Starbucks. You're going to find a couple blue hairs and, nose ring. Just, hey, how you doing today? Yeah. Can I get this cup of coffee? And just like to ask you a question. You believe in Jesus? Okay, forget that question. You believe a man can become a woman or a woman a man? Game over. Notice I said believe. I didn't say, do you think the Mets can beat the Red Sox? I didn't say, do you think the Miami Heat can beat the Celtics? What do you believe? Because if somebody believes something, it's going to take a whole lot to change someone's beliefs. That's why we're so divided. You're not going to change these beliefs. There's an entire, what did we say? I don't know what the percentage is of people who will not be able to answer those questions. So, good luck. I'm just saying I want to help people who want to be helped. And if they don't even know that, then there's nothing really I think I can do.
As you noted, the opinion was really radioactive in this takedown of Justice Jackson. It's rare. I've been covering the Supreme Court for decades. It's rare to see that type of exchange. The important thing to remember is that Justice Barrett delivered what was essentially a pile driver, but she didn't do it alone. I mean, her colleagues signed on to this, and I think it's very clear that the majority is getting tired of the histrionics and the hysteria that seems.
So what he's talking about there was what Amy Coney Barrett essentially walked down the hall to Ketanji Jackson and just bitch slapped her. The thing she put in writing, and why Jonathan Turley said it this way, the thing she put in writing was Ketanji Jackson basically don't know what she's talking about. She wants to replace what she perceives an imperial president with an imperial judiciary. Oh my God. And what he's saying, at that point, John Roberts, somebody could have said, can you tone it down a bit? And they said, leave it, and we'll sign on accordingly. So 6 judges. You want to talk about division? This 6-3 chasm just got really big because she did a smackdown, and the 6 judges went, you go, girl. You tell this idiot DEI hire exactly the what for. That wasn't by accident. You don't embarrass another sitting associate Supreme Court justice. And they're like, let Amy do it. She's new here. Okay, Amy, go ahead and write it. Push, push. So I tell you right now, inside the halls of that courthouse, there is like fighting going on. You do not insult somebody who sits on the highest court in the land and basically have the other 5 people go, yeah, you're right, girl. She don't know her ass for a hole in the ground. And then publish it for everybody to see.
Growing a bit on the left side of the court. But this was really an astonishing takedown by the justice. But it's the hyperbole that's coming out of the dissent that is so notable. Justice Sotomayor, in that Maryland case, said that giving parents the ability to opt out of a few lessons was going to, quote, create chaos and probably end public education. Then you would.
Anybody got a problem with that? It might end public education. If that's their mindset, if their mindset is to let little Billy and little Susie read books about butt plugs, if that's their mindset and that temple has to fall, so be it. Break it down, start over. I'm pretty sure parents in different towns and cities across the country can get together like they do right now and create either homeschooling or, what do you call those things? Not heritage schools, but, charter schooling. They can do other things to school their children. So destroying the public education system as it is right now, it's not public education. It's public indoctrination. These kids are going all the way through high school and they can't flip and read. They can't add, subtract, do any sort of arithmetic. They're walking zombies. If you can't score touchdowns or dunk a basketball, you're done. You're going to get a diploma because they're going to give it to you, and you won't be able to do anything. You got to have the pictures made even bigger at McDonald's. Either that or just become a TikTok star until, TikTok's not here anymore. That's about it. You are not qualified to do anything. And then you got to deal with AI. You can't survive AI because every single thing AI can do, you can't do. So where are we? You talk about, Jim said about a divided country and helping them. They don't even see the train that they're laying on the track in front of. I got to believe some of the educators do. I got to believe some of the politicians do. But they're not telling these people, you're laying in a track. and this train is barreling down at you at 100 miles an hour, and you don't even know you're on a train track. I fear for these poor kids who have just been passed along. And you're good, you're great, here's a star. Put the star on the refrigerator. Nobody can tell you what to do. Nope, you can do whatever you want. No, you can't. You can't read, you can't add, you can't pass any proficiency. You are absolutely done. And the Democrats are okay with that. Back to what Trump said. Why y'all hate America so much? You hate America so much, you want to screw our kids over. It's absolutely stunning. So doing away with public education as we know it now, I don't really have a problem with that.
Justice Jackson saying this could very well essentially be the death of democracy. It's the type of hyperbole that most justices have avoided.
Yeah, that's the next thing you're going to hear all over the place for probably the next couple of weeks. It's the end of democracy. Well, it can't be the end of democracy. There's an election in 2026, right? Oh, yeah. So as you're spewing this crap, you're lying. Again, I'll go back to my open. You're lying because you're in a country that mandates democracy, even though we're a constitutional republic. You're going to get to vote in 2 years. What are you worried about? We know what you're worried about. You were worried about all these other people voting was going to help you, and now they're not going to help you, and now you know this may go on forever and ever for quite some time, and you're realizing what's next. See, if you're a Democrat politician, you can talk on television all you want. You can scream and do riots and protests and get the orcs out there, but at the same time, you got to be looking at your calendar going, it's freaking June. We don't even know what this guy's going to do. I don't even know what July holds. August. Every single day he's out there. Let me prompt. Here's another one. Yeah, here's another one. What do you think's going to happen on Monday? Now that he knows that you have to try and stop him with the Supreme Court, not the district court, he's going to have a whole bunch of pens he's going to be giving out. Oh yeah, I'm going to wear this one the hell out this week. Let's go, bring it. And they probably already got them printed. Go ahead, make your way to the Supreme Court. You know how much it's going to cost you? Good luck with that.
What is the weight of today's ruling? And how effectively will this slow down, these ridiculous injunctions and that kind of lawfare?
Yes, well, today was an incredibly important day for democracy with this 6-3 ruling striking down the practice of district court nationwide injunctions. Let me break this down a little bit so that your audience can understand just how important this is. There's about 677 district court judges in the United States of America. It takes only a small handful of those 677 to cause unimaginable havoc all throughout the country and the federal government. Because any one of these judges, say a single judge in San Francisco or a single judge in Boston or a single judge in Manhattan, can, before today's Supreme Court ruling, issue an edict that is binding on the entire nation. Nobody living in Texas, for example, consented to be ruled by a judge in San Francisco. Nobody living in Oklahoma consented to be ruled by a judge living in Chicago. But under the system, any judge, any communist judge, any Marxist judge, any crazy left-wing judge could decide major national questions for the whole country. So, for example, they could decide that the Pentagon must allow transgender troops and service members into every single part of the U.S. military, and the president and the secretary of defense are powerless to do anything about it.
Now, understand what he's saying, okay? And I'm sure many of you do. But one of the things that Stephen Miller is trying to articulate is that this was actually the Democrat plan. They realized when they lost the presidency, when they lost the House, when they lost the Senate, there's nothing that they could do to stop President Trump. So somewhere, I don't know, probably in December, after the election, they got together. And Biden, or the auto pen operator, said, let's go ahead and push all these judges through. We have to push these judges through as soon as possible. So if you're pushing these judges through as soon as possible, what are you doing with them? You're stacking them and putting them in all these district courts across the country. Somehow they got them through, but they were appointed. And now they knew the only way we can stop Trump, the only way, there's nothing left. Well, there's one thing left. But there's two ways they could stop Trump. A, what they tried to do in Butler, Pennsylvania. B, let's do as many of these things, these roadblocks. Even if you know they're futile and we're going to end up getting beat with them and they're going to get thrown out, at least we can keep throwing up roadblocks. And just keep throwing these roadblocks up. Every time he does something, we'll get some judge to say, nope, you can't. Nope, you can't. And it was working. And now that strategy is gone, which means they'll probably try to go to the other strategy, which may be why they're putting up fences in front of the White House. Although I think the fences are because they expect much more riots. There's supposed to be a protest there today. But all they have left now is to go back to Plan A. Plan A is take Trump out or to wreak as much havoc as they possibly can. Because this plan just got rooted out.
District court judge could decide, for example, that an entire class of illegal aliens is exempt from deportation in all 50 states in the entire country. Or a single judge could rule, for example, that a major federal agency would be forced to pursue illegal race-based discrimination, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So policy after policy after policy was being decided not by the elected president, the one official elected by the whole American people, but by unelected judges. And in many cases, we're talking about unelected tyrants who are imposing their will on the entire nation. So this is really a momentous ruling. It is a ruling that we had hoped for, not just, by the way, over the last 5 months, but over the entirety of the last number of years, going back to 2017, when this...
That's where I got to give that sly look. Why am I giving that sly look? Well, I'm giving that sly look because this is obviously something that President Trump has been working on well beyond the last, presidency. He's been trying to figure out how can we get around these district court judges. They're not allowed to do this. How do we get this presented so that we can win this? So this has been going on based on what came out of Stephen Miller's mouth for 8 years. When you think of that, and you think that President Trump has been plotting and planning and strategizing for years how to get this stuff done, that's when you probably have to sit back and go, I'm never going to complain about Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, and Pam Bondi again. They're working on a playbook that's obvious, way above most people's heads. The fact that he just said that, hey, we've been working on this since 2017. Oh, so what did you do between 2020 and 2024? Oh, we just honed that. We figured out who we needed to do, what they needed to do. So this has been a plan that they've been working on arduously for 8 years, and it's finally come to fruition.
Judicial lawfare, really judicial, again, tyranny, began of district court judges trying to sabotage the entire executive branch, and with it, the entire democracy of our country.
Here's what the Senate Minority Leader said, Chuck Schumer. This ruling hands Donald Trump yet another green light in his crusade to unravel the foundations of American democracy. His plan to end birthright citizenship is blatantly unconstitutional, but instead of stopping in its tracks, the court has instead ducked the question and bowed to an out-of-control executive branch. Respond, if you will, to Chuck Schumer and the issue of birthright citizenship.
Yes, well, look, Chuck Schumer is cheering for district court tyranny. Chuck Schumer doesn't want to win a national election. Chuck Schumer wants to be able to install a single district court judge in a far left community to make decisions for the whole country.
Let me prove this to you, that their objective isn't to succeed. Their objective is to obfuscate, to block, to impede President Trump. SV, one of our mods, just posted something which he must have got some breaking news. All right, so look at this. Chuck Schumer is going to force a full reading of Trump's spending bill, likely pushing the vote back at least 24 hours. There's two things you should discern from that. When you see that they're going to basically, and they're complaining and stomping their feet to the point of, it's inevitable, but you're going to make me jump through this hoop because there's some parliamentary procedure I have to follow. If the Senate guy says, hey, listen, I need to have this read. Okay, we'll flip and read it. We'll push it back 24 hours. It's desperation. It's throwing up a Hail Mary at the last second. It's taking a half-court shot, hoping something happens. But it's not, nothing's going to happen. You're delaying something for 24 hours. And here's the second thing you can glean from this. If Chuck Schumer thought they were going to defeat it and that the Republicans weren't going to get it passed, then he wouldn't be trying to delay it for 24 hours. You see, somewhere Chuck Schumer has probably taken the weather poll to see what the numbers look like, and he's like, oh crap, we're gonna lose. Well, what can we do? Let's just make them read it, and then I'll push it back 24 hours. And then what happens? Then we're screwed. We're screwed then, but right now we can make them do more work. Like Donald Trump said, why do the Democrats hate America? It's like calling a timeout in a game when you're 30 points down with 5 seconds to go. You look over at the other sideline. What the hell? What are you doing, man? There's nothing you can do. You're being a dick at this point, just to be a dick.
Is authoritarianism, that is fascism, that is not freedom, that is not American democracy. Let's talk about birthright citizenship. After the Civil War, Congress and America came together to ensure freedom for the children of slaves. Not the children of illegal aliens, the children of slaves. If you go to the UN today, the United Nations, you have diplomats from all over the world. None of their babies become automatic American citizens. Why? Because they're subject to the jurisdiction of a foreign country. Their allegiance is to a foreign country. Their citizenship is to a foreign country. Illegal aliens are no different, in fact worse, because illegal aliens are expressly forbidden from even being on our soil. Their allegiance is to a foreign land. They're under the jurisdiction of a foreign nation. Their children are not U.S. citizens, and the Supreme Court has now cleared the way for us to restore the actual meaning of the United States Constitution and the idea that this special privilege does not belong to illegal aliens and their children. I'll make one more point about democracy. Chuck Schumer and the Democrat Party presided over the invasion of this country, violating our immigration laws, violating our sovereignty, violating our Constitution. And now they're relying on a handful of district court judges to cement that invasion. Americans showed up at the polls in overwhelming numbers to repel that invasion, to put Donald Trump back in the White House. With today's action, the Supreme Court has said that President Trump can fully deliver on the mandate the American people gave him in November.
I love how he talks. Did you notice Brett Baer's face? See, the other problem that they have is that the media doesn't like America either. The media has put their chips on the table in front of the Democrat numbers. Why is that? What is it that that means that the Democrats are doing this because they've got the media as well? For some reason, the media has decided that they're anti-American and they don't want anything to work either, even though most of them are making low seven figures. Some of them even get 8 figures. Why would somebody who's getting paid that much to just read a teleprompter, doesn't do any investigative journalism, has not gone out and been a gumshoe in quite some time, they come in and they get makeup done, they get hair done, and they read a script and sit there and get paid millions? Why do they hate America? See, that's, I think, the next veil to be raised. I think that's, in the next coming months, I think that's where they're going to dig in. Number one, who's paying all these people? You don't have the revenue. Remember the time in Goodfellas when they knocked off the airport and they stole like $4 or $5 million, and De Niro told the guys, don't go out and flash any cash because you can't flash cash because there's no way you can support that you're making this money. So all these big numbers, these people who are making $8, $9, $10, $20 million a year, who's paying them? Who are they beholden to? Because somebody giving them big checks that the networks can't substantiate. And if they can't substantiate, how come Rachel Maddow's getting $25 million a year and nobody's watching her show? How can that be? How's that money being routed? I think the next shoe to drop is the media. I'm just watch for it in the next couple of months.
Supreme Court has turned the universal injunctions into fish food, as well it should have. There's no basis in statute. There's no basis in Supreme Court precedent. There's no basis in English common law for universal injunctions. Judges who just dislike what Congress and any president has done just made them up. And good riddance. I'm proud of the Supreme Court. It's a very extensive ruling. You can tell it from Justice Jackson's dissent. She's mad as a bag of cats, and that's probably a good thing for the American people.
The fact that she's mad as a bag of cats, I think is saying it lightly. She got spanked by 6 Supreme Court justices, her associates. Now, I did glance over, and people were saying some of the stuff like, I don't think Bret Baier's pro-Democrat. That's not what I said. I said the ideology and what is paying these people, why they're anti-Trump. There's a difference between being a pro-Democrat and anti-Trump. And that's where I think a lot of people, in our audience and other audiences have to understand and discern. Some of these people you've trusted for years. You've seen what has happened lately. I don't have to tell you. You can see right now, there are some people saying some things and you're going, oh God, what in the hell is going on? Why would this person and this person and this person who I thought was, why are they all attacking each other and throwing barbs and insults? And there's some very weird stuff happening right now. I see it. I know you see it. The thing is, we don't know why. Like, what? Why does he hate him? And why is she saying this? And what? None of it makes any sense, does it? When it doesn't make sense, then you have to dig a little bit deeper and find out, why would people be affected this way? That's the only answer. So how does your money get hurt if this guy says this? And how does her money get hurt? All of a sudden, we are in a crazy time where people are picking sides. And I hope you guys sit back, whatever your travels are on Facebook or X or something, and you have the discernment to say, are they with Trump? Period. I don't care about this person and that person talking crap. Are they behind the guy that you voted for? And I don't mean to be a absolutist. Well, whatever Trump says goes. No. You can question Trump. But there's a difference between wondering, why is he doing this? Why is he letting Kash Patel get away with it? That's an honest question. But saying the other side, he's going to lose MAGA, and he's not keeping his promises, and he's a liar, that's a whole different gambit. That you have to wonder why people are doing that 5 months in. But, yeah, let's continue.
Look, Gretchen, there's really no other way to look at it than this is a huge win for the executive branch.
Yes.
In this case, led by Donald.
All right, so before we go too far into this clip, understand who the blonde lady is that's sitting there. When I was trying to tell you earlier that we don't know what these people really think. You don't know what any person on television, where they butter their bread. Because all of a sudden, if you remember, Gretchen Carlson used to be on Fox. Smiling, pretty, former beauty queen, blah, 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 blah. And now she's on CNN. She hates Trump. How do you go through that metamorphosis? How does that happen? Just because you change a network. That's almost schizophrenic. You either have your, quote, beliefs, or you're just being paid. And that's what I don't know how, people switch teams. Some guy may be playing for the Cowboys and ends up playing for the Jets. But you understand the reason that they play and perform is because they're getting paid. There's no allegiance. I'm a free agent. Who's going to pay me this year? Oh, Aaron Rodgers, you were fantastic with Green Bay, but you know what? You're getting old. We don't want you anymore. Okay, I'm going to go to New York. Yay, New York. It didn't work out in New York. Now I'm in Pittsburgh. Yay, Pittsburgh. Because you're following the money. You don't have any allegiance to Green Bay. See, back when I grew up, players played in a team basically until they retired. They bled that team. Gretchen Carlson, she's over here on CNN now.
Trump, which means his policies, whether it's on transgender surgeries or birthright citizenship.
Yeah. And to echo something the professor just said, the first thing that came to mind today to me was that we may now have a Cain. This is so different from how the separation of powers have worked in this nation for decades and decades. So, look, big picture, yes, huge win for Trump. But something I want to bring up tonight is that I believe this will change the way that politicking works in America. Because this won't just be for President Trump. I mean, rest assured, he's going to push through a ton of executive orders in the next
Right, yeah.
years.
Now, I mean, you haven't seen nothing yet,
we
right?
haven't seen nothing yet. However, there's something called the midterm elections coming up. That could change the power in Congress, and Congress can pass legislation to override these executive orders and override this power that he has been given today. Whether or not.
All right, so now she is unveiling, and you're going to hear this a lot. This is going to be the Democrat platform, the campaign. Doesn't matter who's running, no matter what they're saying. Their campaign will be for the next 2 years, maybe starting now, maybe starting tomorrow. You got to vote for me because we need to, go back to doing stuff the way we used to. If we can go back doing this way we used to, we're going to be good. So I need you to vote for me so we can change the laws. That is going to be their rallying cry. You're going to hear that a few times. And that's why I put on the bottom here, the Democrat playbook will now adjust and become very dangerous for America. Now they've been given the prescription. So the way this is going to work is we need to get in and use these rules against the Republicans. We won't need to use district court judges because they can't use the district court judges. They're going to have to complain and go all the way to the Supreme Court. So understand, if these people win in 2026 and are able to do some different things, and definitely if they win in 2028, they are going to do so many egregious things and then say, sorry, you can't get an injunction. Screw you. This is the rules under Trump. Now you got to deal with it. And we'll see you in a year when you go to the Supreme Court. That's coming. Count on it.
Is up to the electorate, right?
Right.
But then you look at it even more big picture. And if a Democrat would become president in 3.5 years, they would be given this same power. So this will change the way in which we politic in America, I believe, unless Congress steps in and supersedes this.
I mean, so.
You hear it? So when we get in power, Democrats get in power, we can do the same stuff. We can put out rules and do all kinds of regulations and executive orders that the Republicans will not be able to stop. They will have to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, which is going to rule against them because it's 6-3. For now, what happens when they pack the court? This is why we need to make sure everybody in MAGA understands what's at stake here. We won. Things look great, but not for an instant should you lower your guard with these people.
And Max, to Gretchen's point, I mean, then you're going to have, enough policies all the way over here, and then it just swings over here. I mean, which frankly becomes ungovernable.
Right.
And the rule of law gets weaker because if it's going to change so dramatically, it's hard to abide by it and count on it. But for him now, sky's the limit on new orders, isn't it?
Certainly. Well, we've always relied on not just a set of laws, but also a set of norms. So here's to hoping that a future Democratic president, and there will be one day, would act in a manner more respectful of the Constitution and our shared values. But let's put the Supreme Court ruling aside, because it's been a fully owned subsidiary of MAGA for quite some time now. And let's just...
The Supreme Court is a subsidiary of MAGA. What do you think that means? Oh, we need to fix that. We're going to have to add, I don't know, 6 or 7 more judges to completely flip that. This isn't a real court. This is a subsidiary of MAGA. They're telling you what they want to do.
Look at the America that Donald Trump is creating. In the lives of any American today, we have never seen what we see right now, which is there are babies in America today born after February 19th, which is the day when Trump issued his executive order on naturalization, that do not know, their family does not know whether or not they are citizens of this country or not. That's Trump's America.
You know what's really funny? That all of a sudden, I want you to stay with me on this one. They did a class action suit that said that anybody, even not born yet, should be a part of this class action, which is going to be impossible because they're not even born yet. But number two, how are they going to argue that? Stay with me here. If you file a class action suit that says specifically in the order, here, let me bring it up so I can actually show you exactly what I'm talking about, because you're probably thinking, well, Barry, what do you mean here? I think you need to see the exact wording that they put out there, and then from there I will show you what exactly I mean, because this is very interesting probably interesting to you too. It's definitely going to get in the weeds, but okay, here we go. Here is the class action lawsuit that they filed today. All right, I want you to read this paragraph, because this is where it's going to get real interesting. Hope you guys can see. We're filing against Executive Order 14160 against anyone who's part of the following class. Anyone. All children who have born or will be born in the United States on or after February 19th, 2025. Read that again. Any child that was born after February 19th, 2025 or will be born. Or will be born. So, number one, the people that you're protecting aren't even here yet. And number two, now you're telling us you worry about the unborn? I might have to get tickets and go up to Washington when they argue this one. Please do tell us all of a sudden how important it is to keep the unborn and their rights. You're asking to convey rights on the unborn. I don't think they realized when they put that in, they were so rushed, they had to file it today. I don't think they thought of what they just wrote. Those of you right now who've read that, you have to even understand. Even those who haven't been born. So you're going to go into the Supreme Court after for years telling us that, it's just a fetus, it's nothing. It's just a bunch of cells. But now all of a sudden, that bunch of cells has rights. We can't have this bunch of cells be excluded from citizenship in the United States, and we're here to argue on behalf of the unborn cells. And every Supreme Court justice up there's got to be going, wait, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? So now, if I was on the court, I can't wait till Clarence. Well, Clarence Thomas doesn't really talk too much. Well, maybe somebody like Gorsuch, she goes, so, excuse me, I just want to make sure you're saying this. I want to clarify this. You're saying that the unborn child should be governed under this, should be given rights, given rights to sue the Trump administration. Yes, that's what we're demanding. So you do want to now convey rights upon this bunch of cells. And it'll be at that point where, well, it'll be long before that point, because I'm sure somebody's going to pick up on it in the news, and so they'll have time to come up with an argument. But their argument, oh, hey, so you sure you want to convey rights on an unborn child? I think they would call that checkmate at that point. It's like, how about no, just the ones from aliens? Just the ones who aren't supposed to be here. Just those unborn children. And I hope some of you guys just read that right now. Huh? Haven't you been telling us for years? It's not a baby. No, it's just a clump of cells. But now it's a clump of cells that you want to convey rights to. It's an interesting argument all of a sudden, isn't it?
And the Democrats will be running on this because this is the next iteration of separating children from their parents in cages. I mean, this is utterly inhumane.
Your thoughts on the Supreme Court ruling?
Well, I can tell you this, Chris. There are two things that are resulting from this: chaos and confusion. The court has created a situation which we will not be able to easily unscramble. And secondly, they played right into the hands of Donald Trump. He said he was going to flood the zone. He told us he would overwhelm the system with executive orders and changes. That's exactly what he was empowered to do by the Supreme Court decision.
When you say chaos and confusion, let me start with that. Give me something specific. What's your concern right now moving forward?
Well, if the injunction applies state by state, party by party, the obvious question is, what about the states who aren't going to question this decision? Ultimately, what's the status of children born in that state? That seems so basic. It's in our Constitution in the earliest stages where we decided that if a person was born in this country, they have a right to be citizens in this country in virtually all cases. Now that's a question mark. So who's going to go in and ask the question of the court of whether this applies in the state of Illinois or Missouri or Idaho or Wyoming? The states, some will move forward on it, some will hold back.
Again, back to, I think his name was Jim. Jim's question about getting united. No, this is where the rubber meets the road and things split. Because the other states are like, we're good. No, we're not suing. You guys sue. And so he's right at this point. You're going to have different states with different rules, and you're going to have people wanting to be in these certain states. But in any event, here's another problem they have. In order to sue and be a part of this class action, you're going to have to reveal who these people are, which means you're revealing to the government all the newcomers you're representing. I don't think people thought this out really well. That's maybe why Dick Durbin's sitting there going, he got us, man. He got us on this one. I don't know what to do.
And the people who are born in that state have a big question mark as to their status.
It is clear that the president and others who are at the press conference today consider this an affirmation of broad executive powers. I was talking just a short time ago to a constitutional professor, and we were talking about the balance of power and the system of checks and balances. He suggested, as he looks at that the most serious concern in the whole system of checks and balances is Congress and whether they're doing their job. Give me your take on where we are with the constitutionally prescribed system of checks and balances right now.
A little history. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, powerful president, re-elected, decided he was sick and tired of losing in the Supreme Court. And so he suggested adding a few more justices so he'd get a better...
They're not even slick. Listen to them when they tell you. They're already contriving different schemes that they can for both 2026 and 2028. Unfortunately for them, President Trump didn't have anything to do for 4 years but figure out what he was going to do. And you can bet your bippy, he's already got countermeasures to their countermeasures. They're getting caught flat. They never saw this coming. They're like, there's no way. Oh, there's way. And now all of a sudden, they've got to figure out what they can do. And you just heard what he said would be part of their plan.
Take a result out of the court. He was resisted in Congress not only by the Republicans, but the Democrats as well. They asserted the authority of Congress to make these decisions beyond the president. I can't imagine that happening today. The Republicans who are in leadership in the House and the Senate cower when this president starts to growl, and he growls a lot.
I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. See, you're so used to pansies. You're so used to limp-wristed people in the Oval Office and in Congress. And so you're having a horrible time having to deal with an alpha male. They're shocked. They're absolutely shell-shocked.
As a result, we're in the situation we're in today. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court has served his strategic purposes.
There are still many.
They've served his strategic purposes. Why don't you tell the truth, Dick? The Supreme Court's not there to serve anyone's purpose. They're there to read the four walls of this document called the Constitution. See, a lot of trials are won and lost with argument. Because if you can show that, what you're saying is founded in the Constitution, you might be able to convince some of the people up there. But when you don't have any foundation in the Constitution and you're just bat poop crazy, then it makes it pretty easy. So now this court case that they're going to go up with, where they want to do a class action lawsuit for the unborn, is probably going to be granted by a district court judge. Count on it. Count on it, because they don't have any other way to fight it. So the district court judge is like, okay, I'm going to grant you class action status, and we're going to put a national judgment because they've said, and then it's going to go right back to the Supreme Court, and it's like, nope, nice try, get lost. And here's one of the women, and they have to say this stuff to try and keep their electorate upbeat.
Open pathways to block President Trump's illegal and unconstitutional birthright citizenship order and ensure that all babies born in the U.S. are equal citizens, as the rule has been in our country since the end of the Civil War. The case that the ACLU has brought with partner organizations will continue. We'll be filing a motion for class certification today. And that's one of the ways in which people who are harmed around the country by President Trump's effort to end birthright citizenship will be able to go and get protection from the courts for this fundamental American right.
So I would love to be somebody who's putting all my chips behind that lady. Good luck with it. Even the MSNBC anchor was like, you sure? You sure you want to argue for the unborn? Is that where you're headed? I'm just saying. Just saying. There's a lot of people around the country now looking at you like the RCA dog going, oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay, do that. Here's Andrew Weissman, who has been a complete tool, and Nicole Wallace.
I want to just make sure people understand, you could look for crumbs, which I wanted to start with, so people understood some limits. I just want to make sure people understand, I agree that this is devastating in terms of the process. That one of the very, very few checks we have in government, we obviously have the press, we have people like you, Nicole, but in government, one of the only checks we have is coming from the courts. And this is a decision from the Supreme Court that says we are castrating, we are neutering.
They must have had a sale at Stanton Optical or something. I mean, just, oh my God. Oh gosh.
The lower courts. We are not allowing the district courts, the courts of appeals to have this sort of universal effect. And you have to go individual by individual. But you know who gets to do that? The Supreme Court gets to do it.
Walk me through.
Okay, so they're defeated. They're absolutely crazy. So I got to show you this one. This one here, I posted on X, and I'm like, why would you put this person on television? It doesn't help your case. He just makes you look more wacky. He's worse than Joy Reid. He's worse than Keith Olbermann. Why would you guys do it? So I want you all to just have some fun and look at this by Eraserhead here.
Why you see this ruling as deeply dangerous, not for people who are birthright citizens, but much more broadly for every American.
Imagine Donald Trump wants to do something illegal to you, Ali Velshi. Imagine that he wants to murder you. Imagine that he and Stephen Miller release an entire policy explaining about how they can murder Canadian journalists who are working in America because they're taking the jobs from real American journalists, right? So he's going to murder you. So you, Ali Velshi, you go to court. You go to court in the Southern District of New York and you say, like, I don't think this murder thing is constitutional. It's clearly illegal. It's clearly constitutional. Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Stephen Miller shouldn't be able to have a plan to murder me. And the court says, you're right, Ali Velshi. There's no way Donald Trump is allowed to murder you. We're going to have an injunction. We're going to stay the executive order saying that he's going to murder Canadian journalists. And so you're like,
you're describing a crime that President Trump, in your imagination, would be doing against people. Your imaginary thing here was that President Trump would order Stephen Miller and other people to go unalive other people. That's what you have in your imagination. So he's committing a crime. Versus what just happened was the Supreme Court read the Constitution and said we're going to enforce law, not advocate illegal law. You know what I'm saying. This guy, I cannot believe they insult their audience to this extent. That they put people on and that there's actually people watching who go, yeah, he's making a great point, bro. Yeah, yeah, you're right, man. Trump could do that.
great, awesome. And you go home. And then Pat Kiernan shows up and he's like, what about me? I'm also a Canadian. Mm-hmm. Ashley Banfield shows up. I'm also a Canadian. What about me? And the court's, well, I can't help you because.
Oh, and by the way, he went to the same eyeglass store too. They must have a whole bunch of them in New York or something. They must have in some of these eyeglass optical places that, can I get the MSNBC look, please? Please, can I get the MSNBC look? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the bat poop crazy thing. So we all can tell everybody in advance. We can tell everybody before they even tune the channel in. Oh, you're one of those. Yeah, okay, I know what I'm about to hear. But then again, I don't have to do your glasses because we got, Mr. Potato Head here.
He is the one who sued. So Pat Kiernan, if you don't want to be murdered, you have to launch your entire own lawsuit in the Southern District of New York again to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't murder you. And while the Supreme Court is deciding who the Ali Velshi can't be murdered injunction applies to, guess what? Donald Trump starts murdering people. That is the upshot of yesterday's decision. Donald Trump has declared that he is going to do an unconstitutional thing. And
Donald Trump has declared that he's going to do an unconstitutional thing, and it was approved by the people who declare and defend constitutionality. Again, they try to gaslight the people watching them. Oh, it's an unconstitutional thing. But the 9 people just adjudicated that it is constitutional. So I'm sorry, but for someone who can't comb their hair, shouldn't be defining what is or what isn't constitutional. That's what the 9 judges on the Supreme Court are for. But for some reason, they feel no problem just walking out there saying Donald Trump's going to take everybody out.
People have been able to secure the court's order that he cannot do the unconstitutional thing to them. And basically what the Supreme Court has said is that, well, you said something about Jimmy, but you didn't say anything about Consuela, so we're going to deport Consuela while the Supreme Court figures it out. That is what the court said. And
I appreciate it. And Pat and Ashley are going to appreciate the shout outs on the show as well. But that makes it very clear that this is.
What just happened? Wait a second. He had a coffee cup with his eraser head on it. I got to get that back. Oh my goodness. Where was I? I just happened to see that for the first time myself. Where is that? Okay, hold on. Let me get to that. Okay, hold on. Run it.
Ashley are going to appreciate the shout outs on the show as well, but that's really.
He's got a coffee cup. Oh, so you're telling me you're selling merch. And so you just, by the way, are we killing Consuela or are we deporting her? You lost me. I didn't know what was happening to Consuela. You're the whole thing you were saying, and I feel bad for Consuela until you told me, no, that's right, she's getting deported, not killed. Right? Oh, I have an idea. How about we deport Eraserhead? That would solve a lot better things.
That makes it very clear that this is.
The bottom line takeaway from today is right now, the presidency, forget about Donald Trump, the presidency is far more powerful than it was at 9:55 a.m. this morning.
See the slow pivot that's happening. The presidency just got a whole lot more powerful. Forget about Donald Trump right now. They're signaling to you guys, you understand? We have a tremendous opportunity here. The presidency just got a whole lot more powerful. Now we just got to figure out how to steal the next election, and we'll be really good because the presidency just got a whole lot more powerful.
What this says is that district court judges, by and large, cannot individually block a president's orders across the country. And it should be noted, this was a problem. This was a practice that bothered and upset and got in the way of presidential initiatives of Joe Biden, of Barack Obama, of George W. Bush to an extent. But this has now fundamentally shifted the balance of powers away from the courts to the president. The mission was carried.
All right, so he's absolutely right. Now the president has so much power, and now we need to see what President Trump does. What does he choreograph over the next 3.5 years, given this extensive amount of power? And this is where we need to get the limp-wristed Republicans on board. The Rand Pauls, the Thomas Massey, all you guys either get on or get off. Because now we're in a position to go for the throat, to launch a kill shot at the Democrat Party. See, that's one thing I wanted to convey to you guys today. We are now in a position to take this party out. Make them completely irrelevant. And President Trump, if I were to see what he's done so far, knowing he's had 4 years to plan, I can't even imagine what the next 6 months are going to look like. But see, that up until this point, all these people were on CNN and MSNBC, they're crying. At least there's one person who can recognize, wait, man, this is pretty good. This is Mike Smerconish.
Out with stealth and with precision. There were no American casualties. And while Congress is divided after receiving briefings on the extent of the damage, I'm sure that we've derailed Iran's nuclear program, at least temporarily. And there's some valuable deterrent effect for America's adversaries who witnessed last week's exercise. Then, last Tuesday, President Trump left the White House en route to Europe. At the time, there was a question as to whether Israel and Iran would honor a ceasefire. That caused the president to offer the most unfiltered, non-controversial, direct words that I can recall anybody ever saying about the Middle East.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Yeah, you understand that? That was a message to people not sitting there at the airport. He was talking to Bibi, and he was talking to the Ayatollah Asahola and a bunch of other Republicans. That's when NATO, he's getting on a plane to go to NATO, and NATO's like, this guy means this, doesn't he? Yeah, he means it. Pay up. It's crazy. And I do have to take a mea culpa moment here. Jeff Snyder says, you're wrong, Barry. He's always had the power. It just was just not obstructed now. You're absolutely right. The presidency, not just President Trump, the presidency has had the power to do this stuff But there's been so much gamesmanship played over the years, and especially against President Trump, that now a president is going to have the full ability to flex the muscles that they want to flex. And I don't know how either side is going to react at this point. See, that's something we both have to figure out.
The Hague, where he arrived for NATO meetings and was able to wrangle an agreement from our allies to more than double their defense spending target from 2% of gross domestic product to 5% by 2035. Also, while at NATO, in a press availability, he did something rare for Trump and I found rewarding. He showed empathy. It came in an exchange with a Ukrainian journalist who said that her husband was a soldier. She asked whether the U.S. would supply her country with Patriot missiles.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you it's amazing.
And me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually, because he wanted me to be.
Is your husband a soldier? No?
He is.
He's there now. They do want to have the missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available. I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay?
Also in that presser, he was more reflective and respectful than usual of our allies.
They want to protect their country, and they need the United States. And without the United States, it's not going to be the same. And I left here differently. I left here saying that these people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff, and we're here to help them protect their country.
Back at home,
somebody in the chat pointed this out, and it was something I was going to bring to your attention. You see, CNN is such lying, gaslighting fools that they don't want the truth ever told. So much so that they had to let their audience know, we don't really feel this way. And so, Barry, what do you mean? How are they letting the audience know this isn't really how we feel? They stuck the word commentary on his screen just so they would, we may not agree with the administration of this network, doesn't necessarily agree with the conehead talking. It's his commentary. You won't see that anywhere else. When Caitlin Collins is talking, they don't say commentary. When Abby Phillip is talking, they don't say commentary. Nope. But because he's giving Trump praise, all of a sudden it's commentary.
Trump claimed that he's reached a trade deal with China and soon expects the same with India. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told Bloomberg that the deal was signed earlier this week. China's Commerce Ministry said Friday the two sides had further confirmed the details of the framework. Of course, Trump's initial imposition of tariffs wreaked havoc on American markets back in the spring. But now the markets have rebounded and grown. The S&P 500, NASDAQ hit record highs just yesterday. And it's not just the stock market. Inflation, the great economic fear of recent times, seems to be tamed. The rate is now reported at 2.4%, down from a high of 7% just 4 years ago. Meanwhile,
you won't even hear that on any other CNN or MSNBC show. MSNBC. They won't even talk about it. Hey, man, you guys were worried about eggs before. Now you don't talk about it. Oh, you're not doing anything for grocery prices. Oh, yeah, yeah. There's nothing for them to talk about. All they can do is lie. Because if they tell the truth, they're going to sound like this guy. You have to address it. It's records in NASDAQ, records in the S&P. Everything is up. People are making money. Prosperity is on its way. And I keep telling you, if you wait until Jerome Powell lowers interest rates, it's going to be, well, it won't be too late. But you'll be scrambling with everybody else. Now you need to probably get in and do some things in anticipation of what's going to happen when, not an if, when the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates. Because President Trump told you, I should find a clip. He actually said, strap on, we're going for a ride in a rocket ship. And the only thing holding things back right now, oil prices are down, grocery prices are down, gas is down, eggs are down, stock market booming. Lower the interest rates, bro. Lower those and it's gone. It's off.
Blue-collar workers have seen real wage growth of 1.7% in Trump's first 5 months. This is the largest such increase in nearly 3 generations. Notwithstanding its impact on our national debt, there's also hope among some that Trump's big, beautiful bill will give further financial relief to blue-collar workers, as well as create incentives to build more factories in the U.S. Some already see this happening. For instance, General Electric has just announced that it'll invest almost $500 million in moving production of washing machines from China to Kentucky.
I'm surprised they still allow this guy in the air. I was expecting that they were going to walk up with like the big Gong Show hook and pull him off. Because this guy in his show is telling you the truth. Where all they want to do is just scream and lie and blah, blah, blah. I don't know how he still has a show on this network. I commend him for actually saying this stuff. It's amazing. When you sit back and look at what President Trump has done, and then you sit back and look and go, it's only been 6 months. Well, actually, 5 months. It's amazing. Everybody said it couldn't be done. Oh, the tariffs are going to take you. They worked. Ooh. Everything thus far. Hey, I'm going to go over to Israel and tell these people to quit messing around. So, we may not get everything in the big, beautiful bill. Brace yourself for that. But whatever we do get in the big, beautiful bill, that's going to be the next, fuselage, or what do you call it, the rocket fuel booster on the economy. The two things to happen. And you can watch for them when they happen. The big, beautiful bill getting passed, and then interest rates getting lowered, and man, it's just boom at that point.
Then there's the border. Crossings have slowed to a trickle. According to CBP's May update, Southwest border encounters have fallen to about 282 a day, a drop of 93% from last year, and the lowest since the early 1960s.
You're going to get fired, bro. You're going to get fired. Now, this next piece is stunning. It's stunning because it shows that people were actually watching what he was to the Jim. Jim said earlier, we got to get united. This next piece, which was the end of his show, is going to explain to you very clearly, without any equivocation, you don't even have to wonder, that this country will never unite. It's never going to happen. Let me prove it to you.
There it is. Wow, a lot of voting. 40,231. You know what? I applaud those of you who are part of the 72% who say you do not have an open mind on Donald Trump. And the reason that I'm applauding you is not that I appreciate your closed-mindedness. I appreciate your candor. Like, you don't want to hear it. I made the case at the outset of the program today that he's had a good 2 weeks. He's like, no BS, he's winning. Maybe not in a way you want. There are many things that he's doing that I disagree with, and I tell you what they are every day on radio and once a week here. But you got to stand back and say, it's consequential. It is consequential.
So after he read off all those accomplishments, after he explained to people, bam, 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 okay, so I'm going to cut to commercial, and I'm going to put up this poll, and you guys let me know what you think. Let's go ahead and go to commercial. They're on commercial for 2 or 3 minutes. Right, come back. Oh! Even after everything I just said, even after I just outlined all of this to you, 72% of you still say, screw Donald Trump. How could you, as an American, listen to what that man said? I mean, I just played 5 minutes. His show's an hour long, I think. And he was going through all the different things that President Trump has been doing. And then he cuts for a break and comes back and says, hey, while we're on break, I want you to go ahead and take care of this poll. And 72% of the people watching his show said, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Screw Trump. And so when people say we need to unite, I've said it for quite some time, months and months. There are a certain part of our population that's never coming back. I don't know if the C-19 did it to them. I don't know if, I don't know. But they are never, ever coming back. And so if you're waiting for this big change of people to all of a sudden welcome America back, we're never going to see September 12th again. September 11th, we get hit. September 12th, there's no races. Everybody's red, white, and blue. Everybody's like, go America, go New York. We all said back then, we will never forget. And we find out now that the New Yorkers up there are voting in somebody. It proves they forgot. They did not just forget, they forgot. And now there's people across the country who would say, I hope it happens again. And you can blame the entire education system for that happening. People with college degrees voted for Zohan. Overwhelmingly. These are the same kids who were babies or not even born in 2001. And it only took the defiant ones, it only took the commies 24 years to turn this country on its head, and they didn't have to fire a single shot. They just took over the schools and the school boards and the local committees and different things and said, you can't do this, you can't do that, we're going to put these books in school, everybody can do this, we're all together, and we don't care if kids pass or not, doesn't really matter, just keep passing them. And Johnny can play in the girls' sports, and Jill can become a man, and Freddie can become Frederica. And here we are. So I would need a whole lot of convincing to even figure out what the road is for us to become united. Now, I know many of you will say, God. God will show people the way, the light. But people have to be willing to accept God. And what you're seeing is these kids have been indoctrinated to the point where many of them, they shun it. So I don't know what the road is back. Maybe it simply is prayer. Maybe that's the only answer, because there's nothing else that's going to turn most of these people around. You have to see that yourself at this point. After hearing what that guy said, Smirkanish, after hearing what he said, and then seeing 72% of the people who just heard what he said turn around and go, we don't want nothing to do with him. That's absolutely scary. All right, so before we turn the page here, I want to show you guys this. What am I doing? Oh, I got a good one here for you. This is for the Patriot Addict Berry Pack. So let me get all these pieces together and show this to you. Got to put this hat on. It's a little bit smaller, that's why I don't wear it all the time, but they're going to give you an amazing package here if you guys were interested in it. The Berry Pack is the Ultimate Trump Collection, featuring the 45-47 hat. It also includes a Trump 2024 flag, which I have right here. Let me get my sneakers off of it. Here's the Trump 2024 flag. If you guys haven't seen it, it would look really good up on 4th of July. Oh, got to turn it around, and so you can see it. And there's the flag. President Trump, make America great again. Hope you guys can see all of that. So you get the hat, you get the flag, and then you also, what's that? Okay. Then you get this too as well, which is the Trump blanket. And while it may seem a little bit warm right now for the Trump blanket, eventually the fall will come and there'll be tailgates and people will have little fires outside. And this big blanket is very warm. It's huge, by the way, as you can tell. So you get the hat, you get the flag, you get the Trump knife, which many of you have seen. This knife here is so awesome. It's very sharp. I still haven't learned how to do that thing proficiently where I can just flip it out and everything. But it's also got a glass breaker, and it also has a seat belt cut in case you get stuck. You know, this would be very good down in Alligator Alcatraz should you need that. So you get the hat, you get the knife, you get the flag, and you get the blanket. All four of these items, they normally sell for $238 individually. You can get them for the price of, drumroll, $69. Just $69, you get all four of these things. So just go ahead and go to the QR code, or you can also go to berrypack.com. Berrypack.com. All this, $69 just to show your appreciation to Donald Trump, and it also helps out this channel. Berrypack.com, QR code, or go to berrypack.com. All right, so let's continue with the show. Before I go to Congressman Timmons' interview, first, let's take a few comments here. Gator Traz. Yeah, I got a piece coming up on that. How many people voted? 72% of 10 people. Virginia, you might have missed it. 40,000 votes. His poll was 40,000 people voted, and 72% of them said, nah, we're not good with him. What's a water knife? I don't know what a water knife is. I said it might do well in Alligator Alcatraz, but maybe not against the alligator. I'm going to show you in a bit. My question is that people and businesses are planning to move. How many of them voted or donated to him, and is it their plan on going elsewhere to bring it to other states? I personally have met people who have escaped New York and Philadelphia, and Robin's family has met people up in the Asheville area who've escaped, and a lot of them escaped for tax reasons. They don't want what is happening up there. So at this point, there's a lot of people holding their nose and going, I guess I got to vote for him. And then once a lot of people get here, what's really interesting is they experience the freedom. No state income tax. And I'm not doing a commercial for Florida, but it's completely different. I've had many people tell us, you don't even know. You live in a different world down there. It's completely different. Wrong link posted. I didn't see that. Just got home from church, then to bed. Well, you went earlier. There you go. Approximately 768,000 Muslims live in New York City, constituting about 8.9% of the population. So what you're saying is even they didn't come out and support it. Well, if they're not citizens. That's another thing. 72% were not open-minded. Do I need to show that again? Maybe I need to rewind that. Hold on. Let me pull that up. Because, wait, let me get to it. It's at the end here. And I can show it to you. Where is it? Hold on. I'm scrubbing it. Scrubbing. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and show this to you. Do you have an open mind on President Donald Trump? 72% say no. We do not have an open mind on Trump. 28% said yes. I'm not sure if it was too fast for you, or if you didn't see the little letters, or you thought it was otherwise, but there it is, clearly in front of you. Somebody asked about the votes. He had 40,000 votes, and 72% said no. We do not have an open mind for President Trump. So, you made me think. You're like, Barry, you better go check that. No, I'm checking it. I got you. But it's pretty crazy. Let's see here. Yeah, CNN poll. Well, see, the interesting part about it is that's his audience. And so his audience, which is CNN nut jobs probably, told you how they thought. Even after hearing all the good stuff about President Trump, it doesn't matter. They hate America. They hate Trump. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't change. New York is going to love Sharia law. Yeah. I don't believe CNN polls. They're not asking you to believe CNN poll. I'm just telling you what he reported. You can take it however you want. 72% of their audience that watched his show doesn't care for President Trump. So either way, yeah, 72 are fully brainwashed. Yep. Yeah, I see a lot of you guys are like, yeah, you don't believe the polls. No, okay. It's not that difficult, people. It's not that difficult. Let me breathe. I gotta breathe. Okay. Let me show it again. Just understand. It's one simple question. And that question was this. Question. Forget looking at the answer. Do you have an open mind about President Donald Trump? That's the question. Do you have an open mind about President Trump? Stop. Full stop. You got the question down? You understand the question. Do you have an open mind about President Trump? Okay. Now you understand the question. Now the answer is 72% of the people said no. 72% of the people who were watching his show. It's not a scientific poll. It doesn't matter if it's left or 72% of the people watching his show said no. They don't have an open mind. And the only thing that means is that the people watching that show, i.e. watching CNN, are not in a position that they even want to accept change. They don't care. There's nothing you can tell me. So it's not a matter of believing the poll. It's his program. I mean, I put up polls here. They're not scientific. Doesn't mean it's national. I'm just talking about his audience. All right? I think we're good there. All right? SV. 99% of the people in chat don't read the chat. Oh, you are so right. Oh my goodness. Sometimes you guys crack me up. I put these things together. I'm like, it's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? No, they're still going to miss it. Oh, okay. I don't know how to help you. All right, so I'm going to show you this interview I did with Congressman William Timmons of South Carolina. And that's me there, so that's not what I want. So I'm going to go back here. Okay. And here we go. All right, so I'm all set. Let me tell you in advance, Congressman Timmons even ticked me off. Everybody has their opinion, but what you're going to hear is probably going to make you kind of get side-eye again like the RCA dog, and should give you some indication of what's coming next week with the big, beautiful bill. All right, let's listen. Hey everybody, I've got a great interview for you today. I've got Congressman William Timmons back. He's been on the show a couple times. You guys can follow him at Representative Timmons on X. Lot to talk about real quick here. I know you got a short period of time. You guys are so busy with the boss being back in town. But the first thing I want to ask you is, what do you think about the huge breaking news ruling about abortion and Planned Parenthood being basically decimated by the Supreme Court?
I love it. It's long overdue. It's great that we have 6 justices that are willing to follow the rule of law. South Carolina, tip of the spear. Couldn't be happier.
Now, what exactly does it mean? Because it's not doing any abolishment, but it says that South Carolina wanted to ban PP from Medicaid getting taxpayer dollars. You guys being in Congress, you hold the purse string. So what exactly does that mean?
Well, we're basically saying that we're not going to use taxpayer dollars to fund abortions at any level. So, right now the law in South Carolina is 6 weeks and then 12 weeks under certain circumstances, and then up to whatever for the life of the mother. So that's one of the most restrictive laws in the country. So this is going to go a step further and say that we're not going to give you money for abortions. And obviously Medicaid is a huge part of the Planned Parenthood budget. So it's a huge step in the right direction of protecting life.
That's incredible. And how soon do you think, now that the ruling has come out, that will go in effect? I mean, they've already been budgeted money for 2025, or can you grab that back? What happens with that money?
No, that's real time. So, I mean, any services that were rendered prior to the Supreme Court decision are going to probably get paid, but not another dollar. And I can promise you that the governor is sprinting to cut off the spigot of money. So, again, just great news for life in my home state.
And that's fantastic. And now one of the things I saw in a tweet by Eric Doherty is that now you've got, not you, but other states now have a blueprint to do the same thing. How would that spread with the other states?
I guarantee you that the red states are going to be filing bills and passing them quick. This is a huge step in the right direction. It's just incredible. I got elected to the state senate 8.5 years ago, and that I was in the conversations about trying to overturn Roe v. Wade, and we passed bills, and we were trying to be the law that got the Supreme Court. Obviously, we didn't get there to overturn Roe, but we got there to stop tax dollars going to fund abortion. So, I mean, this is big.
Big, huge, absolutely. Now, something else that's big out there, Pete Hegseth and General Kane held a press conference this morning. What do you think about, the mission, the precise nature and execution of that mission, and then, of course, now coming back in the press trying to blow it all up and say it wasn't successful?
You just got to think about how incredible it is. Commercial pilots, it's actually unlawful for them to fly more than 8 hours.
Wow.
So you have two pilots in a very small cockpit, and these pilots flew for 36 hours, and they dropped multiple 30,000-pound bombs on a target no bigger than, probably 20 by 20. So it's incredible. It's just truly incredible. It was a very well executed military exercise, and I, can't say enough. It's just truly impressive. And so Secretary Hegseth was saying, why are you focusing on fake, leaked, classified intel that's not even accurate when you could be focusing on the fact that these pilots just did something just truly incredible, and that the United States military is the most lethal fighting force in the world. But again, the fake news media, they're going to do whatever they do, and they just want the president to fail, but we're not going to, and it's just great. The winning's just getting started.
Now, I understand that the DOJ is going to be investigating the leaker. Is there anything that you guys in the House can do to start digging in and finding out? Because this morning it was mentioned that it might be somebody in Congress.
I do not believe that the Intelligence Committee has gotten the intel to that degree.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this likely came from either DOD or possibly the CIA. The information is very classified at the highest levels, and there's just very intricate systems to track the flow of data. So we're very likely going to figure out who it was, and I feel bad for them. They're probably going to be in a small box for a couple of years.
And good, and deservedly so. Now to the big thing, the really big thing, the big, beautiful bill. President Trump has an event scheduled at 4 p.m. today. He's already gone ahead and scheduled a celebration of sorts on July 3rd, expecting this thing to be signed. Where do you think you stand right now? I know you guys already passed it in the House. It's up at the Senate. They're going to make their changes. It's going to come back to you. Is it realistic that this thing could get done by July 3rd? Okay, this is Barry from the Present jumping in. Okay, listen very carefully to his answer in this thread about the big, beautiful bill. And I think you'll be as surprised as I was in terms of his answer.
That's the plan as of now, but we got a lot of work to do. The Senate needs to finish doing their job, and then the House needs to vote, and we cannot fail. So we need to get it done. We need to give this country the best birthday present it's ever had, and we gotta get on to all the other work that we're doing. We've spent so much time on this. It's critically important. I mean, I remember when the border security, the president requested $4 billion, and the Democrats in the Senate said no. This is $150 billion for border security. We're going to have the most secure border in the history of our country, probably of any country in the history of the world. So we just got to do this. We cannot fail. The economy needs it. The American people need it. We got to get it done.
Now, I saw John Thune was going to keep the Senate in session until it gets done. Is Mike Johnson doing the same thing, or is he going to let you guys go off?
We had conference on Tuesday, and the speaker made it very clear that we weren't to leave. So I'm looking forward to working through the weekend to do the work that the American people need done. And we cannot fail. We shouldn't leave town without it.
Now, here's a question I couldn't ask Scott yesterday. I want to ask you, especially with your legal background. The Senate, I know, and I understand this is a Senate question, but it's the Senate parliamentarian she's in there. She was appointed by Harry Reid, and the reports have been, first of all, are the reports true, that she's putting in basically poison pills saying certain specific aspects of the big, beautiful bill are going to require 60 votes. And I understand that John Thune could fire her. So the two questions are, one, are those reports accurate? And number two, if they are accurate, why hasn't she been fired?
So one, reconciliation is a very specific procedural mechanism, and the filibuster in the Senate has been around for a very long time, and it should be around for forever. So we can't undo the Senate rules. The Byrd rules are very intricate. It's multi-step process. So I think we always expected that the certain provisions of the House bill would not make it through. There have been a couple of pretty big setbacks, but we're still going to get the job done, and we're going to get this to the president. The American people demand it.
So are you saying if she's correct, she can strike some of those things and it won't be in the final bill?
The parliamentarian has the ability to remove certain things from the bill if they are not in compliance with Senate procedures. So that was always a possibility. There have been a couple of setbacks that are unpleasant, but again, this is the big, beautiful bill, and a setback here or there doesn't change the fact that it is still overwhelmingly positive for the American people, and we got to get it done.
But the things she's striking are basically the core elements. She's striking that there are no tips on overtime. I mean, no taxes on tips, no tax on overtime. She's trying to. I shouldn't say she has. She's trying to strike some of the stuff in terms of the states being able to do their own thing in regards to immigration. What would be left if she guts all that stuff?
It's the big, beautiful bill. You still got $165 billion for the Pentagon. You got $150 billion for border security. You extend the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. I could go on and on and on. There are serious changes to our society that are going to remain. Again, the big, beautiful bill is still big and beautiful. It may not be as beautiful, but it still must pass legislation.
How do you think people are going to respond if some of the core values of President Trump's campaign are that they promised or end up getting struck from the bill? How do you think people will respond to that?
I think people are going to be unhappy if they don't get what they want, but it's still going to be overwhelmingly positive for the American economy, for every American. So again, we have to get it done, and the Senate rules are the Senate rules, and 60 votes are 60 votes. If no tax on tips or no tax on overtime gets struck, we can take it back and let the Democrats vote against it. It polls overwhelmingly positive. We don't have to do those things in reconciliation. Wow. But again, I think that's still an ongoing conversation. I don't think everything has been finalized.
Well, I hope you guys can get it worked out there. I know you're very busy. I'm going to let you go. But busy time happening right now, and I wish you guys the best. What's coming up next? After the big, beautiful bill gets passed, what are you going to be working on after that?
You know, we've got a lot of digital assets work to do. We've got the market structure and stablecoin bill that went through financial services. The Senate just passed Genius, and we're going to be making sure that we continue to be the best economy in the world, and being able to innovate with technology is a critical component of that. So those are also must-pass pieces of legislation, and that's what's up next.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time today out of a busy day. I know you got to run. Thank you very much, Congressman Timmons.
Good to be with you.
All right. Bye-bye. I was, as you could see, uncomfortable. And I didn't want to be disrespectful. I didn't want to push too hard. I pushed as hard as I could without saying, "What the F are you talking about?" But it is what it is. Is that what we have to deal with? Are we talking about certain provisions being clipped out of the bill, and it is what it is, and that's what we have to deal with? My objective with interviewing anybody is to really try to extract what the hell is going on in Washington. And I will give Congressman Timmons an A in actually telling us what's going on. But then you have to look at Congress and go, wait a second, we're going to have to give you a really low grade on execution. Thanks for telling us the truth, but oh shit, the truth isn't going to work at this point. We want all of it. And we don't want some person sitting in a corner office that Harry Reid put there and said, no, you can't have this, this, and this, and you guys going, okay, it is what it is. I don't know if President Trump will see this interview. I don't know if he's heard some of the things that these people are saying. I don't know if he understands that he doesn't seem like he's worried about it getting passed. We talked about Chuck Schumer earlier, seeing like he's freaked out, but damn, they're being lackadaisical. This is a core principle of President Trump's campaign. He said it over and over and over again. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. We understand Social Security has to be moved to its own bill. Got it. We understood from months ago. But now you're telling me you're going to just go ahead and slice these other things out, and we don't even know what this thing is going to look like. So understand what's going to happen. And President Trump wants it done before January 3rd, right? So, and if he wants it for before January 3rd, they have to do something Monday or Tuesday. And then once they fix it, according to how they want to fix it, then it goes back to the House and they got to vote all over again. At this point, I'm beginning to wonder, are they going to push through something just so they can say the big, beautiful bill was passed, when essentially it's no longer the big, beautiful bill, it's the big girl. It's just, yeah, she's a 5. It's just the big bill. It's not going to be the big, beautiful bill. Get ready. Get your fingers ready. On Monday, start hitting these people up going, oh, hell no. If this is a warning shot that we just got, if this is just disclosure to make you feel better, it's not as good as you thought it was going to be, but it'll be okay. I don't want okay. Especially not after what the Supreme Court did. Okay. Let's go for it all. I'm pretty sure you guys feel the exact same way. July 3rd, not January 3rd. Thank you. So, that's what he said. Crazy. All right, I'll be right back in 90 seconds.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I see you guys in the chat. You guys are as hot as I. Let me just tell you what happened. So I did that interview with him, and I filmed it. And immediately after I was done, Ashley texted me. She goes, how'd it go? And I'm like, well, the interview went well, but what he said isn't going to go over well. And so I've had that, and I'm like, do I even show it? And I felt if I didn't show it, if I didn't let you guys see it, I would be remiss and almost like a lie by omission. So I wanted you to see it. I respect Congressman Timmons. I don't agree with him, and I didn't want to cause him any embarrassment because this guy's on the screen. He knows he's being recorded, and I don't want to throw barbs at somebody. but you could tell I was like, dude, you understand what's going to happen here? Because I knew how you guys would react. And I was trying to push him back over and like, you sure you want to answer it this way? You sure you don't want to expound on this? Oh, no, we're going to get it done. You're going to get everything. You sure we just got to take it? That's the answer you want to leave, huh? Okay, I'm telling you right now, I don't know how many people here watch this, but they'll tell their friends, and you're about to get deluged with what the F are you talking about? And so here's the thing I want to tell you. If he's saying it, then others are saying it. That's what you have to think. So it's not just him. This must be an unspoken thing amongst the Congress. Yeah, we'll just give him a little bit here, and they'll be satisfied. Republicans don't know how to win. I've said it over and over again. They don't know how to take a team out. You need to go for the throat. This Democrat Party is on life support, and you're helping them. You're fanning them. You're giving them CPR. Do what you got to do. And I have respect for Congressman Timmons. I understand they're trying to pass laws, but now is not the time to be, take what we can get. Now's the time is to force it. Make sure we get what we want, not what we can get. You got the overwhelming leverage right now. Crazy, especially after yesterday. Woosa. All right, so this interview is with Sheriff Chad Bianco, and it went much better. This guy is running against Gavin, well, that won't be Gavin Newsom, it might be Kamala Harris, and we're hoping to get Steve Hilton on the show as well, so Steve Hilton can tell you what he's thinking, but I was very, very impressed with Sheriff Chad Bianco. Okay, take a listen. Hey everybody, I got a great interview for you today. It's with Sheriff Chad Bianco of Riverside County out in California. Sheriff Bianco, thank you for coming. I know California's been crazy, so thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome. Happy to be here with you.
So I just want to give people a little bit of context. First of all, are you still currently the sheriff of Riverside County?
Yes, my term as sheriff does not end until 2028.
Okay, and how long have you been sheriff out there?
The November election of 2018.
Wow, so you've been there for quite some time. So just where exactly, for those of us who haven't been to California or haven't been in a while, where is Riverside County?
So Riverside County is Southern California. We're a very large county, 2.5 million people, almost 8,000 square miles. So it's a very large county, and we are located almost directly east of Los Angeles. They're kind of like a four corners type situation between Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Bernardino counties. We kind of all butt up together around the Chino area. And we're probably from downtown LA without traffic. It's about 45 minutes probably, but with traffic, it's 2 or 3 hours.
Wow. I've been on those freeways. It's scary. So was your area affected by the riots, or should I say the protest, the peaceful protest?
They spilled into our area. They quite a bit different. We treat the protests quite a bit different than Los Angeles County does. We have an absolute zero tolerance for any type of bad behavior at these, I'll use quotes, peaceful protests. We ensure that they're peaceful protests. And back in 2020, we set the tone for the entire country and how we would handle them. As a sheriff, a constitutional sheriff, I believe that it is everyone's right to protest, and it's my responsibility to ensure that people can exercise that right to protest peacefully and free of outside entities coming in and ruining their constitutional rights. But with that, there is a very, very hard line that we draw between a protest and what would turn into a riot with violence or law breaking. And we do not, it truly is a zero tolerance. And so our protest that we had roughly the same time as Los Angeles is. We had a lot of people come, and there were some big protests, but zero reports of violence, no building, looting, those types of things. And I think we only had one arrest of an individual that made contact with a deputy, struck him with a sign, and that person was arrested and booked into jail. But other than that, our protests are relatively just a normal protest.
You mean no cinder blocks thrown at police vehicles? That was insane.
We do not. We will not tolerate that. I mean, quite honestly, that's a horrific situation. Yeah. Some of those, I know that some of the officers were actually hit with rocks and bricks. Quite honestly, you can just look at it. The normal person is like, man, that's a assault with a deadly weapon. Those cops could have been killed. Right. And quite honestly, I would not have been surprised if that would have been our location if deputies would have shot those protesters that were dropping or throwing the Molotov cocktails or the cinder blocks and things like that, pelting them with weapons. That deadly force would certainly be authorized in that situation.
I mean, I'm down here in South Florida, and so I know exactly what you mean, because DeSantis doesn't stand for that whatsoever. So were your deputies called in to help, and if not, why not?
Yes, they were. Los Angeles police and Los Angeles sheriff were kind of. I don't want to say overwhelmed, but they were running out of manpower in the early stages, in the early days of the conflict, and they had multiple things that they had to manage. There were definitely protests that were peaceful, but then we all saw national television of these absolute riotous situations where people were only there to destroy Los Angeles and harm law enforcement officers. So when they became, they tapped out with their resources. We have in California what's called mutual aid. So that sheriff in the county, when all resources have been tapped, they request mutual aid from other areas in the state, which included ours and Orange County. So Orange County Sheriff, San Bernardino Sheriff, and myself, Riverside County Sheriff, we all sent deputies in to help them. Our deputies were there for a couple of days, several days maybe. San Bernardino Sheriff had some that were a little bit longer, but then eventually we got control of all the people and we were allowed to leave, and they fought it for a couple more days.
Now, Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom both said they had everything under control. So without burning any bridges with the officers and sheriffs in other counties, why were they saying that if the LA police was reaching out to other officers to come in and help?
Wow. The problem with me when you answer me a question is you get the brutal truth. And the brutal truth is that they are flat out liars. Yeah. And when you say burning bridges with other officers, I wouldn't be burning bridges with any LA County deputy or LA County police officer. Maybe their management, but certainly not the officers who were there, that were being victimized by all of this stuff. But that would not have been handled the same way here, because politics would not have come into play. And we know that in the press conferences that were done, the governor and the mayor were encouraging people to come down there and do this. They were using this as a political theater to somehow make a statement against President Trump and against ICE, and really it's to divide their city and cause all these problems for their own theater, for their own political advancement. As sick as that may sound and as wrong as it is, they are so blinded by the bubble that they live in that they don't realize that people are sick of this. I mean, Californians are absolutely tired of this. And we were lied to. We were flat out lied to by our mayor and our governor. And the reality is everything that we all saw on TV.
Now, you say the bubble that they live in. Fortunately for them, they don't live where this stuff happens. Newsom's got the big mansion. I'm not sure where Karen Bass lives. Maxine Waters, wherever she lives, is a big mansion. That's one of the problems, is they get to retreat. They get to go someplace where all this stuff isn't happening. It just drives me crazy. And another thing that drives me crazy, and maybe you can speak to this too, no one ever talks about the firefighters and EMS. My wife used to be a EMT. How do they feel about this? Because they're the ones who've got to go in and treat even the bad guys.
Yeah, they're in the same boat. We consider in California, and I'm sure it's like this all across the country, but they are still considered first responders, whether they're private fire, city fire, county fire, state fire, or even our EMS is all usually private entities that we contract with. We still consider them first responders, and they are right there with us. So not only are we protecting our own safety, our employees and our buildings or everything else, but we have those first responders that we have to maintain their safety when they are not equipped legally or physically to protect themselves. So they are in danger there, and they're in the same boat. They can't believe that our politicians allow this stuff to happen time and time and time and time again without actually doing something to protect our cities.
So you just got through this one wave of riots, and I'm not sure, it's early out in California, if you've seen the new Supreme Court ruling. Have you seen it yet?
I have, and it's the thing about California and from my perspective, from a law enforcement, I've been doing this for 32 years, and California has been completely run by Democrats for the entire time I have been here in law enforcement, with the exception of Governor Schwarzenegger as being a Republican governor, but the state is still controlled by complete Democrats. There's no Republican control or say-so in California. And so over those years, I've seen this time and time and time again. And the reality of California Democrats is they don't care about the Constitution. They actually despise the Constitution. And they've said that in open terms, that they really don't care what Supreme Court say or what voters say. They do whatever it is they want.
It's insane. So do you expect that now that this has happened, where the district court judge rulings can't be done nationwide, do you expect that this weekend it's going to start all over again?
I don't think so. I think that we've gotten to a place politically where everyone is seeing that the mayor is lying, and everyone is seeing that Newsom is lying, and he has he's running for president, and he absolutely knows. I mean, he is one of the most far left people that you could ever imagine. He despises regular people. He despises hard workers. He is a true epitome of what a tyrant leader really is, where a government state is in control of everything with him at the top. He absolutely loves it. So he knows that he will never win the presidency when the rest of the country looks at California to see what a laughingstock we are. And so he's acting like he's a Republican now. Yeah. And he's trying to really play the middle. And so they suffered politically over these last 3 weeks. And they're going to have to do things different. They're going to have to make sure that they maintain peace. And so we expect that there will be a different story if it begins to happen again.
Wow, that's great. So how bad are things in regards to, and I'm sure this is going to be one of the things we talk about your governor campaign, in regards to the insanity of letting people steal, walk into a store and steal up to, what is it, $900 without them being arrested? Is that something you can work on to get repealed?
Yes, absolutely. So it's $950. You're absolutely right. And we actually had a proposition on the ballot where all of the state voters vote for last year. And 3/4 of the voters, nearly 75%, I think it was higher in the 70s, 78% in some counties. Every county was over 70%, including Los Angeles and San Francisco, our most liberal counties. And everyone voted to repeal that measure that was done in 2014 that made that $1,000 limit, bring it back down to a felony at a $400 limit, and actually prosecute these criminals. The problem is the entire state voted for it overwhelmingly, but the governor refuses to fund the treatment centers, the drug and alcohol treatment centers and the mental health treatment centers that this required. And so now we're not reaping any of the benefits of the public speaking up and saying we want something different. And those are some of the things that are happening right now, where our lawmakers know that they're up against a wall, and their policies are in full view of the entire world right now. And they're having to try and make some concessions and changes while they're still trying to blame everyone else like they're the heroes to somehow fix something. We're in a weird, bizarre place here in California.
So that being said, maybe it's a self-explanatory question, but why are you running for governor?
For the last 10 minutes of us talking. California is absolutely broken. Our government no longer cares or listens to Californians. The government is run by 120 people that are elected, the Assembly and the Senate. There's 120 of them. And then, of course, you have the governor, lieutenant governor, and the Secretary of State and the Attorney General that are also complete activist Democrats, far left activist Democrats. They aren't even real Democrats. And they control the entire momentum and direction of the state. And what we are seeing for the last like 2.5 years is even what I refer to as normal Democrats, what in our youth were probably our parents.
Right.
I mean, just normal people that cared about their lives and their families' lives. Those normal Democrats are throwing up their hands and saying, we've had enough. We don't believe in this socialism, communism type movement that you're going to, and we're going to vote for something different. And so we see this momentum changing in California, even in the media a little bit on how they report, because you can't change the fact that even the media people, the reporters, the workers at these stations and everything else, they're being harmed by all of these Democrat policies, whether it's the regulations, the taxes, the pro-criminal laws, that they're being victimized. I mean, when you have your news crews out filming something and someone just comes up and steals all their camera equipment, all of a sudden they feel victimized and they wonder why we're not doing anything to help. And when we sit back and say, we've been prevented from helping and you were the ones that failed to tell everybody, they're realizing that they played a part in this. They weren't responsible for it, but they are complicit in what has happened to California because they have failed to let people know. And now people are standing up saying, oh my gosh, how in the world can this happen? And when did this happen? And so those of us that have been fighting this for years, we stand up and say, we've been trying to tell you this for 10 years now, 15 years, where have you been? But the majority are standing up, and I think we're at a place in California where Democrats and Republicans, regular Californians is what I call them. I don't even want to refer to them as Democrats and Republicans anymore. It's just Californians are fed up, and we want something different. We want to actually be heard, and we want someone to trust, someone to believe in, and there is absolutely no one in politics that we feel comfortable like that. I mean, you have 80% of polling says that they have no trust or confidence in elected officials. That's embarrassing for who we're putting in office. And I think in this election, for me, for a 32-year law enforcement person who's dedicated to public service, 8 years as it will be 8 by the time of the election as an elected official, one of the largest elected officials in the state of California, with that resume of proof of service to the community rather than my personal agenda or a political belief, that's what people are resonating to. And they're flocking to me saying, we can believe in you and we do trust that you're going to work for all of us instead of half of us or for special interests.
And I think you're even going to resonate with some of the, we would call them the elite wealthy people, because they've been screwed in Malibu. They can't even rebuild their properties. It's just sitting there with dirt. So I think you're going to resonate with a lot of people. But the question I have is, given what they've done to the electorate and, you know, the seemingly electorate, are the numbers with you?
That's a great question, and we've had to consult with experts in this whole election process with the voting machines and everything else, people that have experience in programming these machines and actually designing the algorithms that are employed in these machines. And for anyone out there that believes our elections are secure, you are living in a world of fantasy, and you are extremely naive to truly the absolute corruption of our government systems and their desire to stay in power. In the law enforcement world, we absolutely know that there is fraud going on. And in California, they have passed laws to make it illegal for some of the avenues that I can even look into it. Right. I can't even do the investigation because they have made laws to make it illegal. And to say that is not complete common sense, that there is some shenanigans going on in our election process, we absolutely know it. But the experts have said that if you can, it's a mathematical equation. That's really all computer code is mathematical equations. Right. And if you can make the input so drastic, and to borrow a term from President Trump, if you can make it too big to rig, the machines can't compensate for that. The algorithm in there can't compensate for such a widespread in an election. And we are hoping that what we saw last year with the absolute 75% of the state voting for a better public safety in a different direction of government, we're hoping that is going to be so wide that these machines are going to crash. It's going to be proof that they're rigged, and we'll have a better outcome.
Speaking of President Trump, have you been in contact with him? Is he going to come out and endorse you, or is that not something he can do because of his position as president? But I'd love to know, what the administration may be doing to help you.
Yeah, so the administration knows that he can do many things, and they know the importance of California because we suffered severe Republican losses in California in the midterm elections after he won the first time, and they are afraid that if that happens again, that we'll lose control, the Republican control of the House. Yeah. And so he is concerned with California. We're in contact with his team. I have not spoken directly to President Trump. We're working on making that happen in the next little bit. Good. But he certainly is concerned, and he's going to do everything he can to make sure we not only have a safe and reliable election system, but if he can help, he certainly is going to do that.
Last question I have for you. This may seem a little off topic, but still nonetheless, I'm sure there's sheriffs up in New York that you have spoken to. What do you think about this socialist Marxist guy who's running for mayor of the biggest city in the country? And I bring this up to you because Los Angeles is one of the biggest cities in the country. And what would happen if, he wins and then Los Angeles tries to do the same thing?
Yeah, this is something that I 100% blame the media for, because they are promoting this person. And you have to realistically get down to what is happening in that election. You have that person who is a 100% complete admitted communist who despises America, who is claiming all of these things that he's going to do that are truly not only violate our Constitution, but it violates everything American. He is not American. He does not care about America. He hates America. And they are truly trying to destroy our country. And we know this is happening. This has been happening for decades. And you have complete anti-American communists and Marxists that are getting into public service with the sole intent of harming us, of harming our government systems. And when the media doesn't tell people that America as we know it can be completely destroyed, the media is complicit in this, and they should be held somehow responsible. But I truly feel for New York. If he is elected, New York will absolutely fail as a city. They will become, they will have to be surrounded by good places, and they will become truly a third world country because every single legitimate business and law-abiding American will move out of New York. Yeah. I don't care how. I love the city of New York. My wife and I love visiting there. But the status in the last couple of years, we'll never visit there again. Yeah. We will never go there until they get control of their city. And if he wins, the entire working populace is going to have to go to the outskirts, the other cities or the other states, and the New York City as we know it will be completely destroyed.
Well, I hope and I wish you well, and would like to have you back on, because I don't want them to screw up California in that regard. They've already screwed it up enough, and somebody like you who can get in there and fix it and stop this thing before it just completely decelerates even further. So thank you very much for taking the time to come on, and as I say with everybody in the military and police who come on our show, please be safe out there. There's too many crazies running around.
There is. I appreciate you having me on. I'd come back anytime. I thank you very much.
All right, so that was, what's this? Oh, that was Sheriff Chad Bianco running as a Republican for the governorship of California. We don't know who the Democrat's going to be. It could be Kamala. Not really sure. She may want to be president. She may try that again. And in addition, Steve Hilton is probably running against Sheriff Chad for the Republican nod as well. So I think two strong candidates. Only one guy can emerge as the candidate to go against the Democrats. It is a tough road, a very tough road because of everything they've done. Maybe the deportation efforts are going to change that. I don't know, but I love talking to him. I love talking to law enforcement guys so they can figure out what the heck is going on out in these cities. And it seems like Riverside's a little bit better under control than the debacle that Los Angeles was. So I've got one more story for you today, so we can get you guys out of here real soon. And this one is the story I'm going to close with is a little bit of a chuckle. We're going to be talking about Alligator Alcatraz. Because to me, it's really funny. It's really funny what's going on down here in South Florida and how these people are starting to just wig out. They found a new cause. They found something else to jump behind, these morons. Right, but before I do that, let me just finish up with talking to you guys about 1775 coffee. And if you haven't tried 1775 coffee, now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, and I believe there's only 1,000 units or so available. Maybe less right now because there's so many people in the Fanfare family. My dog is licking my feet. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, the smooth medium roast, and the one I actually like is the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus without any crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also going to get a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with a plastic spoon. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler that says I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the people who have been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. And here's a spoiler alert. It is. I actually drink the Mushroom Vitality blend myself. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone, or you can go to the QR code right there and you can get 1775 coffee. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. All right, so let's finish off this program and head into this is going to be pretty good. You ready for this one? But before I get to the main thing, I want to show you the whack jobs out there, because they're out there doing it again. Now they found something else to protest. Don't put the newcomers out here in Alligator Alcatraz. That's too bad. Oh no.
We have to advocate for all of us. And I don't know if any of you have prayed to a spiritual place, or maybe you go to church to find that spiritual place.
In case you're wondering, because you may be saying, well, it doesn't look like the protests we normally see. They're not blocking the road. They're not all arm in arm going singing Kumbaya. That's because down here, you get your ass run over. And they know it. So they knew, we better stand on the sidelines here, right? Yeah. Everybody okay? Yeah. Make sure you're not out in the road. If you go out in the road, something might happen. So yeah, let's not get out there.
Wherever your spiritual place is, find it in your hearts to pray for these people who are lost so that they can become human beings again. Because if they're human beings again, this will stop.
They shipped a whole bunch of them out there praying for us to become human beings again. And here's a different cut of it. It just cracks me up. They're out there complaining, but they know better not mess around here. Also, notice what they're not doing. They're also not too close to they're on the front side of the street, not too close, got their car behind them, because you don't know what might come up behind you. You notice something about these people? Notice that they're almost all white, older people. And the problem with them is that they're not stopping the trucks, they're not stopping the construction, and here's something else they're not stopping. They're not stopping the opportunity for jobs in this location. Because a lot of people, or should I say, a lot of things are realizing, hey, maybe I should get there early and apply for a job. So I just saw one of the locals who's heading there early to apply for a job. And so let me just show you the local, okay? There's the, let's see, he's there, he's coming. Oh, here he comes. Yeah, he's applying for a job. It's opportunity. That's a big boy right there. Ooh, and if you can zoom in, he's got a lizard up on his back, a rider. He's got a Klingon. And he's walking across. Oh, look at that big boy. Uh-huh. Yeah, sign him up right away. I think he would do very good. He'll get the job done. He won't complain. And yeah, that's all you need. Just slide into the water. Yeah, call your boys to help. That's what we need. You gotta love that. That boy was huge. He was absolutely monstrous. That was a big boy. All right, so I saw this piece on Fox News that I wanted to bring to you guys. And this was a visit that the older one, Peter Ducey, one of the Duceys, came down and actually toured Alligator Alcatraz. So for those of you who haven't seen it, this is pretty interesting. A lot of stuff's going on. And by the way, it'll be open Tuesday or Wednesday. So they can go ahead and protest all you want, but this is an amazing facility. Hold on. I think I put the wrong cut in. That's something else. Let's see here. Let me see something. All right, here we go. I didn't realize I had that cut. Here we go.
Normally on a Friday, the Everglades would be so quiet, but right now the hills are alive with the sound of construction. Joining us right now is Governor Ron DeSantis here in the great state of Florida. You came up with this idea in the last couple of weeks, right, for Alcatraz, or Alligator Alcatraz. Explain it.
Well, when you want to have deportation of illegal aliens, there's a process the DHS has to go through to vet, to process, and then to stage them for removal.
Right.
And, you know, we've got jails, and our sheriffs and police are working. The state of Florida is all in on President Trump's mission. And obviously you have ICE operations, but that's not enough. And so there needs to be more ability to intake, process, and then deport. So this answers that. This is going to be able to have more than 3,000 illegals can be processed through here. We've got a massive runway right behind us where any of the federal assets that they want to fly these people back to their home country, they can do it one-stop shop.
So where will the migrants come from? And we should point out, we're about 50 miles to the west of Miami, right?
More than that, I'd say. So we're in the heart. We're actually mostly in Collier. We're actually mostly in Collier County, to be honest with you. So
I was going to say
this is the
we're in the middle of nowhere.
Dade Collier Airport. So this is an airport that we use for training, military. As you see, we're doing this on the existing footprint. But basically, I would say most of the illegals will likely be ones that are apprehended in Florida. You know, we've got across this country about 750,000 illegals that have already been ordered to be removed by an immigration judge. We've probably got 50,000 or more in Florida. And so we're going to have our hands full just with that. But I'll tell you, this is going to be a force multiplier, and we're really happy to be working with the federal government to satisfy President Trump's mandate.
None of this stuff was here, except for the runway, about a week ago.
Well, there's a couple buildings with the airport. This is a functioning airport. Some media has erroneously tried to say it was defunct. It's not defunct. They do have flights. All those training flights will still be able to continue, no problem. But all the stuff that goes into intake and processing of illegals, you're seeing this put up. This is all 24 hours. 24 hours from now, you're going to see even more. And by Tuesday, this will be able to have intake of illegals.
By Tuesday, they got their own runway. There's nothing like this in the entirety of the United States, where they have a detention center and its own runway where nobody can see what the hell's going on, and they can fly in and out, and it's got a big enough runway for the biggest of jets as well. This is going to be their worst nightmare, especially after what the Supreme Court did. So now you've got this facility where it's going to hold 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people, and they have room for expansion if we need more. I bet you Tom Homan's down there just drooling at this point. And I think they should give some of these people a free night or two and let them, check out the facility.
You've thought of everything. Okay, so there are 4 gigantic tents. Let's come on over here, Governor. And people are thinking, okay, you're in the middle of the Everglades. It's hot. That would explain why you've got this bank of air conditioners here.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be...
All right, so he just quickly said it, but what you're looking at, that line of generators, are air conditioning to go inside and pump cold air into these tents. Use them many, many times in special events. They actually work. So there goes the argument that they're not going to have any air conditioning. You will have air conditioning. They don't want these people dropping out and dropping like flies because they're having heat problems. So there's going to be air conditioning. You're going to have water. You're going to have bathrooms. You're going to have food. There will be medical help there. What's the problem? What is the problem? Why are you protesting? You didn't protest when they were getting luxury hotel rooms up in New York City. But now, because they're going to, get what they should deserve, an uncomfortable experience. Sleeping on a cot in the middle of the flippin' Everglades. You have a problem with that? You're calling it inhumane? You're insane.
Illegals will come in, they'll be processed, there'll be places for them to be housed, you'll have an ability for food, you'll have an ability for them to consult legal rights if they have that, because there is a process that's involved with this. So this is really everything. This is going to be a self-contained little area, and then of course you also have stuff for the staff that work here. So we've got laundry facilities, we've got showers, we've got, obviously, there you see the shower and bath facilities.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Where do you go to get a bunch of bathrooms like that?
Well, so this is being done by the Division of Emergency Management. So when we have a hurricane, we would actually have people stage here for hurricane response normally. Anyway.
See, that's the answer to the questions. Florida, because of what we go through down here during hurricane season, we've got all this stuff. We have the emergency generators, the emergency AC, the emergency bathrooms that are real bathrooms, not porta potties. There's nothing that these people will want for. They will be able to live. They will be able to be air conditioned. You just can't leave. Or you can leave. You can say, I'm out. Just send me home. So I wanted people to see this because, of course, the protesters and the news are going to try and make this out to be some sort of inhumane place. And it's not. I've been to events. I've hosted events that have these kind of giant tents with air conditioning. And they're going to give it a subfloor. They won't be sleeping on the floor. They'll be sleeping on cots. And it's wide open. You can go where you want. It's beautiful.
But we have it when we have all the linemen come in to do the power.
Sure.
We have to set up little areas for them, and so you have all this type of stuff. So this is not our first rodeo. The detainee illegal alien mission's a little bit different, and the deportations, but logistics, we know how to do that.
Right, and for people thinking, okay, they're going to put the migrants on this hot asphalt, it looks like you're building a subfloor, and in fact, some guys putting down the plywood.
Yeah, no, look, this will be, there's not going to be anything that they're hurting for anything. There'll be AC. There'll be things that everybody needs. There's medical here. So it's being done right. It's being done by the book.
Well, you know, when you think of the imagery of Alcatraz, Alcatraz is surrounded by a bay. Here in the Everglades, you're actually surrounded by gators and pythons.
So this is as secure as it gets. I mean, if a criminal alien were to escape from here somehow, and I don't think they will, you've got nowhere to go. I mean, what are you going to do? Trudge through the swamp and dodge alligators on the way back to 50, 60 miles just to get to civilization? Not going to happen.
That's the part that's going to make them choke. A lot of people don't realize that there's this kind of expanse down here in South Florida, that you can go 50 or 60 miles and all of a sudden there's nothing there. Nothing. No houses, no apartment buildings, no roads. The Everglades is absolutely huge. Pull it up on a map. Look on a map on overhead and go, wow. Yeah, it's 60 miles away from Miami, so you're not running away. Even if somehow you were able to escape and then you got into the water, you got to avoid alligators and the other animals for 60 miles. It's not like there's a road where they can come pick you up. You can't even tell, El Chapo to bring in a helicopter. They'll see it. It's 60 miles of dark nothingness. The Shawshank Redemption couldn't be made here. There's nowhere for you to go. The only thing I hope they do is have a good orientation program. And maybe even take a few of these people out on airboats and go, let me just show you. You might not understand where you come from, but there's things out here. Really big things. They go chomp, chomp. And you aren't even going to see them. You're going to think, oh, I've escaped. And then all of a sudden, oh crap. And they're tearing you apart and going into death rolls, and there's nobody coming to save you because we can't help you. We can't help you. See, that's the other part. What are you going to do? Hey, get in a boat and go. Nah, I'm not messing with that big 15-foot alligator that weighs 2,000 pounds. So the only thing I'm hoping they do is give everybody a huge orientation. Have a big movie theater. Hey, we're not trying to scare you. This is exactly what awaits you if you get in that water. And then have people say, interpret, whatever. Make sure they know. Don't get in the water. This isn't Mexico versus the Rio Grande. You're not going to be able to swim your way across. Don't do it. But somebody will. And then all hell's going to break loose. So they better make sure these people know, don't get in the water. There's things in that water that will eat you. And I hope they understand that.
And so not only that is it secure, it also takes this deportation mission out of the hair of our local and state law enforcement. This has no impact on Florida residents because some of that stuff can have an impact on them if it's in more populated areas. And so logistically, this really answers the call. All you need is a little bus to move them, about 2,000 feet that way, then get on a plane and they're gone.
Well, listen, the DHS must love this because they're hurting for facilities, and here you are helping the federal government out.
Yeah, well, I said at the very beginning when President Trump took office, you have to have state and locals on board. You got to be on the team if you want to get the deportation mission done. We're done that better than anybody, but I hope other states will follow suit.
If the president is watching, I'm sure that runway right over there could probably land Air Force One.
An invitation from me. We can land Air Force One right there, no problem. We'll get it done. I think the president would be impressed with what these guys are doing out here.
He's going, right? We're going to hear next week that Air Force One flew into Alligator Alcatraz. I know it's coming. What a scene when he flies Air Force One into Alligator Alcatraz and he brings the press on the plane out there with him. Hey, Caitlin, you want to go look over there? Yeah, we're good. Hey, we got some pictures. No. Please, President Trump, fly into Alligator Alcatraz. Just do it. Number one, the sight of it so people can see it as they're flying in. Okay, outside your eastern window is nothing. Outside your western window is nothing. Except snakes, alligators, wild boar, panthers, lots of mosquitoes.
Well, it is very, very impressive. Let me ask you something off topic regarding Alcatraz here. A couple days ago, you said regarding New York City, where that socialist won the Democratic primary, if he wins, so many people are going to be leaving New York. It's going to be a giant exodus, and they're going to be coming to Florida.
You know, I mean, unfortunately, I think the bad governance just repels people. And I love New York City. I think it's one of the greatest cities in the world when it's at its peak. But now they're struggling. And if this guy gets in, all bets are off. And yes, the socialism, the tag wants to tax like white neighborhoods more. It's insane. But I'll tell you, when he says abolish the NYPD, right, eliminate cash bail, your personal safety as a resident there is at risk if this guy's policies go into effect. And that's the one thing I found talking to people that have moved to Florida. They have no tolerance for the kind of defund the police nonsense. And once these leftists do that, they get out of Dodge because they want to protect themselves and their families.
Well, and the guys, you know, one of the things I wanted you guys to notice that they're doing a walking interview. And as they're walking, you're getting an idea of the size of this thing. I mean, you can look over DeSantis and Ducey's shoulders, and you can see how far back that thing goes. So it's probably a little bit more than, you know, capacity for 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people. Maybe because of bathrooms and food availability, they're going to keep it. But that's one big ass row of tents. And somebody had asked the other day, let me finish first.
Talking about the grocery stores will be run by the city.
Imagine how well that's going to work out. Right. I mean,
just imagine the DMV for butter and bread.
No,
that's going to be crazy.
We know his ideas will not work. They have been tried in some areas and some of the things he's done. But even places like San Francisco have course corrected a little bit. Why would you want to put somebody in office where you know it's going to lead to disaster?
Well, and I've heard that I saw on social media that one of those celebrity real estate agents said as soon as he won the primary, his phone was ringing off the hook. I don't want to buy that apartment in New York. Find me something in Florida.
Yeah, you know, and it's sad. I mean, we're proud of what we've done. You know, our budget in Florida, even though we have millions of more people than New York State, our budget's half the size of New York. No income tax. We're working on eliminating property tax for our residents. We're doing all this good stuff. Low crime rate, and we're proud of that. But part of the reason we've been successful is because of bad decisions in New York, Illinois, California. People ask me, well, how do you guys do it? I was like, well, I have a little cheat code. All I do is watch California, Illinois, New York, then do the opposite. And when I do that, it works out.
Well, and it's one of the reasons why I am now based in Florida.
There you go.
I am a Florida resident.
We're glad to have you.
My governor.
I said this will be a good segment to end the show on because, like, oh my gosh. I saw this comment by Fern. It says, this area in Florida for Alligator Alcatraz is invested with over 200,000 alligators, plus there are pythons, panthers, wild boar, huge mosquitoes, nature's food chain. Now, just reading that, it probably freaks a lot of people out. It sounds like it could be their worst nightmare. But it's actually very safe. When you think about it, the only time it becomes unsafe is if you try to escape. If you try to make a run for it. You try to, when you step out of the light into the darkness, it becomes very unsafe, very quickly, to the point where you're probably going to not be with us anymore. Why is that such a bad thing? It's out in the middle of nowhere. Maybe because the Congress people can't come down and budge their way into it. That's one thing they're going to complain about. But it's not inhumane. You're being fed. You got some place to sleep. It's secure. It's air conditioned. You got potties. You can go to the bathroom. You can take a shower. You can do everything while you're waiting to be deported. So as soon as you find out, I don't know, if you're in a court up in Massachusetts and they tell you you're heading to Alligator Alcatraz, you might want to sign those papers really quick. Yeah, I'm done. Just send me home. I don't want to go down there. Talk about trolling. The Department of Homeland Security, on their official X profile, posted this. Coming soon. And I saw that and like, wait a minute. A lot of us have been passing this stuff around and making fun, and I just showed you the big giant alligator, but this is the official DHS website. Trump's team ain't effing around. They're no longer effing around. Oh my God! When your government puts that out. Oh gosh! Oh my gosh! That's just too much. Phil says, "I love it." Yeah. So there. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You forget the water moccasins, snapping turtles. Most of these exotic animals were introduced to the wild by the destruction caused by Hurricane Andrew. That's a good point. Some people have said, what happens when a hurricane? Well, obviously, just like with everybody else, they'll evacuate them. They're not going to let them sit there through a hurricane. Of course, they'll have to be evacuated, just like anybody else. So, yeah, if we get a hurricane coming that way, yeah, they'll move them. Tell the media people to bring their swimsuits. Yeah, put your toes in the water. It'll be okay. Nothing. It's not that bad. Yep, we all know down here, every single person who lives down in South Florida, I was told when I first moved to Florida a long time ago, assume. Don't take any step near the water. Assume, especially if it's fresh water, that there's a gator nearby. If you just assume that, and you keep your eyes as you're walking by the pond or whatever, you're going to be okay. Get too far down the bank or let Fido get too far, you might get at. Just saying. Oh, gosh, it's funny. Snake love bedrolls. Ooh, boy. Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, there's crocodiles too. It's great to be able to express yourself and not worry about what the idiots are thinking. Oh my gosh. The more it's actually happening. It's actually happening. They're going to be open. They're going to be open on Tuesday or Wednesday with the first people arriving. And I can't wait until they do their first report from Alligator Alcatraz. When CNN stands on the runway or someplace in there and says, "I'm reporting from Alligator Alcatraz where it's kind of hot here," or the cameraman's like, "Okay, I got you, but who's got me?" What do you mean? If I'm focusing on Caitlin, it means I can't really look behind me. You need to have somebody looking behind me. Because if I'm focusing on the CNN talking head and I got the camera shot here, I can see what comes up behind her. Who's watching my back? Maybe you might want to turn sideways. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I love it. I love it. I love it. And screw them. Alligators are always on the hunt close to the shore. This LA girl found out quickly. Yep. And don't mess when it's mating season. I'm going to have to show you a video we had. Somebody goes there with 1,500 losers there. Oh, it's crazy. All right, so I'm going to do super chats and I'll put on the after party. Robin and I are heading out to dinner, but I thank you guys for coming in here on a Saturday afternoon. Have some fun. We had some fun. It's only going to get funner. As soon as they tell us, like, when they're going to do a tour or something, I'm going to see if they'll let me go down there with the camera or something. That would be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome. All right, so let me do super chats and get you guys out of here. I didn't know we were going to end up being here for another 3.5 hours, but that's what it's like when we're all having fun. Okay, let me go ahead and read this. And all right. Barry and Ashley, thank you so much for the sheriff's interview. I've been looking forward to seeing this. God bless. Thank you very much. Tilly, I said hi and sent love to everyone. Now back to my cave. Just make sure there's no gators there. Tommy, how you doing? Full AC for all at Alligator Alcatraz. Total failure. DeSantis, why the cost will be huge. AC units. Okay, hold on, Tommy. Oh, not so fast, my friend. The money is being paid for to do this from the money they got from the Biden administration. See, all the money that they brought in to do different things with in terms of the hotels and everything else, they just clawed that money back and they're using that. So it's not costing us anything new. You got to look that up, bro. Larry, 1754, natural blonde can dye her hair red, but the red grows out. Her hair goes back to her natural color. She's still blonde. Can't change nature. Okay. Mr. Anderson Johnson says he's no vote on Big Beautiful Bill. Ron Johnson. Yes, I heard that. Lloyd B. I love watching a show as my life calls it. It's Barry Ford. Thank you. Buddy Sanders. If an unborn has the right to be a citizen, it has the right to be born. I don't know how they're going to get around that one. I don't know how. They've painted themselves into quite the corner at that point. They're going to be playing twister gymnastics. Shane Tankersley, thank you, Mr. Trump. Thank you, President Trump, for all you great Americans voting for the Trump. Thank you, Barry, for showing the truth and reporting the truth. God bless all of you. Thank you, Shane. Far Isle, Democrats love drag queens. They shouldn't mind the party becoming their wigs, right? Ricky Moore, my question is, if New York allows the babies to become citizens, but Florida doesn't recognize it, if that person leaves Florida and goes to Florida, are they going to be... Yeah. That's where we are at this point. That's exactly what I was trying to say, and some people, who are saying it. There's going to be different states with different laws. So, different states won't recognize it. Bianco Barry, you're a funny dude. Thank you. Kim Hampson. So let me wrap my head around this unborn's given rights, but not the rights to be... Yeah, it's an enigma wrapped up in another enigma and then put inside of a riddle. And I can't wait till they argue that, because I'm sure one of the smart people on the Supreme Court are going to say, I got this, let me get this right. You're fighting for the citizenship of an unborn baby who doesn't have the same rights to... Yeah. I don't think it's going to get to court. I think it's going to get thrown out. Hey, Neil, thank you. Hi, Barry and fan for a team. So much great winning news. Just what we voted for. Barry, love your humor. Laughed so hard today. God bless and thank you. Thank you. Tommy, meaningless bill if she gets her way, not my vote. Who's she? Who's she? Not really sure. How Granny sees it. I like how you said the left is being a D with a 30-second call at the end of the game. A Hail Mary play. I propose we stop defaming guys named D and switch to saying, you're just being a Chuck. Crow, I thought we were against omnibus bills for this reason. Watered down, added sneaky writers. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. And those of you guys, okay, want to say something. Those of you guys who are saying Grok said it's still in until it isn't. So that's the only thing I can really say there, is that she is planning on telling them you can't use it. Is it true in the BBB we lose all our national parks? No, I haven't seen that. You're going to give me some homework now, so I will check it. I think we should take up a collection for more alligators to go to. You don't have to take them. Alligators are prolific breeders. Prolific. And they've got there's nothing that can bother them in that habitat. So they breed prolifically now that they were taken off the endangered species list. And even so much, they have to hunt them to keep the population down. My husband made me say that. He had to do it to shut him up. John Renaya, where'd that go? Sheriff Grady seized over 60 pounds of fentanyl. Wow. Troy Burnham, when the B-2s went into Iran, you should have played Brought to You courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue by Toby Keith. Great song. Angela Smart, mug t-shirts with I don't care. Tilly again. When I went to visit my girlfriend in Florida, she had to check her backyard before letting her dog out because the alligators kept digging under her privacy fence. You're lucky they're only digging. They can actually climb fences. There are videos all over YouTube. You can put alligator climbs fence, and you can see an alligator actually climbing the fence. So depending on where you live, you do know the rules of going out there. we've got a wall around our community, but even then, I had the handyman come in and install spotlights so I could see anything within, if we take the dog out. Tommy, that is Dade Collier Training Airport. That is where I trained 123 pilots over 2 years. Wow. I know that airport and the Gators. Remember there was a crash. I'm not sure what year it was when ValueJet crashed. Do you remember that crash? Tommy might because he's a pilot, but go look up ValueJet. ValueJet crashed in the Everglades. And if you have a soft stomach, let me just tell you, what happened to a lot of people in that crash is Alligator Alcatraz. It make you throw up at what they were finding. Susan Book, thank you, and Tommy. Oh, good to hear on the AC cost. Wasn't sure. Nope, no problem. In fact, what I'll do is just to show you guys, I'll get that article and information for you so you can see where the costs are coming from as well. All right, everybody, that's it. We're getting ready to go to dinner. I got to be there at 8 o'clock, so I'm going to put on the after party and go take a shower and be ready to go when Robin wants to go. Love you guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. And don't hit Timmons too hard, but you might want to hit him. Talk to you soon.